This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. What's going on, freaks? Yeah, there was a Daily Mail article on the Long Island serial killer case, but it's weird because it doesn't really, it repeats stuff that was said a long time ago. It's not like it's new information. But then it made me think, well, shit, why don't, I think Ada sent me that link. But I thought I would, why don't we just start talking about it? Maybe it might take a while. I already have a ton of files that I downloaded off newspapers.com. How it all went down back then in the papers. And then, it's 2010-ish. But then there's other cases that might be related, or they don't really know for sure, but, different body parts and things found all over the place. It's a little bit complicated, but it seems like there's always some sort of a similarity right there onto the Long Island beaches right there. So it's interesting. So I'm just going to do it like we normally do, right? It's a massive, look at this right here. Hold on a second. Look at this. I go back to 1996 even. And there's stuff I even don't have in there. I couldn't find it. But it goes way back there. Some of these are full newspaper.com links because they're the page. Right, like the full page. So might be a lot of reading and stuff, but that's how you get all the information. Instead of just somebody saying something, you don't really know for sure. You might miss something. But I've already had it all mapped out for a while now on Google Earth, and they just made that identification of one of the people recently. So we'll see how that goes. Oh yeah, I was talking to about Sarah Kalin's food that she made. You guys are just looking at. Yeah. Anyways, the Justin Ross Harris case, they're trying to get a new trial on that one. I hope he gets it. He got absolutely screwed. You're lacking any brain cells at all if you think that he literally killed his kid on purpose. The case was not made. The people in society just wanted him to be guilty. The jury wanted him to be guilty. They ignored, you know, it was unreal, really. Okay, so I understand people not liking the guy. He's not likable. But to be honest with you, it was a total travesty. Life in prison without parole for a hot car death. What a joke. Okay, people hated him because of the reason. They hate him because of the reason he got distracted, which was texting other women and things like that. Yeah, and that makes you not like him. But, you know, I like when people get punished that are actually evil people. Okay? You can always tell. See, I need to have that 10-minute counter because there's still the hellos, you see? Not one comment related to what I'm talking about. Hey, Marge, I don't know anything about that, but let us just go over the case the way I've got it, and maybe if that pops up, great. You know, I don't know. I'm not doing it like the, you know, people who watch the documentaries and all that crap. Okay, it's just going to be what was in the paper. Yeah, well, everyone can not like him, but he didn't leave the kid in the car on purpose, and people who think that are idiots. Okay. Literally. Like, literally dumb people believe that. And it's just, you know, what's amazing is watching all of the same morons commenting on the live stream with absolutely no comments that are worthy of anything. They're just, oh, look at him up there. Oh, it's just sick, okay? Sick people out there. All right? So I understand not liking the guy, you know? Yeah, he didn't leave his kid in the car on purpose whatsoever. And I made videos that literally proved all the shit wrong, totally inaccurate that the prosecution was trying to put out. Total bullshit. And people believed it because a lot of people in society are just dumb, you know? That's just the way it is. Yeah, he was, you know, he's an introverted type guy. So he didn't act exactly the way. You know what's funny about that? I always say this in that case. I'm just doing this so you guys can get your hellos out of the way. He literally was freaking out when the cops showed up. He was screaming and yelling, and they go, calm down, calm down, calm down. And then they put him in the cop car, and then later they use that he's so calm against him. What a joke. Jesus. Yeah. You know, and good parents do this. Here's the funny thing is all the people, there's so many people that bitch about what happened to them. And the truth is those same very people that bitch about, oh, I would never forget, are the ones that it happens to. See, the problem is the memory thing is a real thing that can just happen to anybody. The distraction. And I've explained it 1,000 times when you're out grocery shop. I've been grocery shopping before, and don't go, well, groceries aren't a kid, right? You sound like an idiot when you do that. Okay, I've been grocery shopping, come all the way home. There's ice cream and all this kind of stuff. Come home. And then right when I get home, I go inside the house, sit down, and 3 hours later I go, oh, shit, my groceries. Okay? It's the same mechanism. Okay? Now, it happens less for kids because, yes, kids are more on your mind. Okay? But if you're somebody that has a really complicated job and your mind's always thinking about stuff, it's a very possible thing to happen because as soon as your kid's in the back seat, if they're not making any sound, you might be thinking about, okay, God, you know, like especially computer programmers. They go to work and they're the whole time they're driving, they're like, oh yeah, what if I put that first and get there? And they get out of their car and they're still thinking about that. And then they go outside and they get into their and they start working. And they don't even remember anything. And then later, oh shit. And I don't call those people aren't barbarians. They're not even shitty people. Yeah, it doesn't matter what he was thinking about, Cindy Lee. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care what the reason for his distraction is. That's the thing. It doesn't matter. You know, the reason for being distracted doesn't matter. What matters is that people they get distracted and this happens. So the reasoning behind it shouldn't matter, although that's what they use to crucify this guy. oh, well, it would have been okay if he was just really forgetting driving around, but he forgot because he was texting people. You see, that's the part I can't stand. And, oh, God, it's just so disturbing. The people, it's really the people in society that watch those kind of trials, and they're mind-numbingly stupid comments based on what they just heard. It has nothing to do with the facts or anything. They just hate him so much that every comment they make has something to do with that. And that's where you just have to take a break and just go, boom, and leave that case, right? Because it's just idiots. All right, so here we go. We're now going to do the Long Island serial killer case. So it's, just to start off here, Shannon Gilbert. She was a sex worker, and she had one of her, clients, I guess, right over here in, I can't remember what the name of this little area, it's Gilgo Beach area, but right in this little section right here. So she was at this person's house, and then she was acting, apparently acting strange, made a 911 call, was all over the place, and then she disappeared for a long time, actually. So this is May 1st, 2010. I'm just shortening up that part. Okay, so this is May 1st, 2010. She just absolutely disappeared off the face of the earth after making 911 call, acting strange, a lot of weirdness around that. They've made documentaries on it. And she went missing. And then the police went out there to look for her, and they went all up and down here, and in the search for her, they found like 8 bodies, during a certain period of time. And then later in 2011, they found her body right here, not too far away from where she originally took off from. So she ran through there. They found some of her personal items in the swamp area here, and then they found her over here. Whether she was in there trying to get out and got stuck right there, nobody knows. It just feels like it's so too coincidental-ish to have all these killings all on this one road going out there. Okay, so I'm just going to go back in time. These are things that I found that seem like they were related. I don't even know if this first one is. I thought it was at first because it was the same year and everything that another torso was found in a park. But let me just read this article here, because there was this one killer named Robert Shulman, 42. He was arrested in, I believe, it was like 92 or, let's just go through it. A postal worker who brought tons of Queens prostitutes. Let me just read it. I think I was looking at this one because to me it seemed similar, even though he's been arrested. So it's almost like all these people were killing prostitutes and then chopping them up. And it's amazing during this time period. Hey, thanks, Grizzy. A postal worker who brought tons of Queens prostitutes to his tiny suburban apartment for sex and drugs, bludgeoned 5 to death, cut up their bodies, and dumped the pieces in garbage bins, police said Monday. Now, what's weird is there's a whole bunch more instances of this, even after he was arrested. So it's like, is that what people do? Or Robert Shulman, 42, admitted murdering 2 women whose bodies were discovered on Long Island over the last years, and to killing 3 other women found in Brooklyn and Yonkers, as he left a police station in handcuffs. Now, here's the thing: is I don't know if this body here. Look at this one. See, woman's torso found in Bronx Park. This is 1997. A woman's torso was found wrapped in plastic in a Bronx park yesterday, police said. The torso was found at 11:20 a.m. in Highbridge Park in the Highbridge section, police said. No other information was immediately available. I couldn't find anything else about that one, but look how similar that sounds to the one that we were just reading. Let's see. As he left police station in handcuffs on Monday, reporters asked the disheveled, sheepish-looking Shulman if he had anything to say to his victims. I'm sorry, he mumbled. keeping his head down. How did he feel? Horrible, he replied. Yeah, well, I'm sure they felt worse when you're hacking their body parts off. So, Robert Shulman, 42, admitted murdering 2 women whose bodies were discovered in Long Island, and then 3 other women found in Brooklyn. You know, so it's just, I don't know if it was a fad or what back then, but I kept trying to find, because there's references to some of the bodies that were found on Gilgo Beach had body parts found in other places in the 1990s, and then later connected back with each other. So what it means is these body parts that were found in 2010 were actually put there in the 90s. But a few of them were put there in 2010, or right around that time, not 2010, but like 2007 to 2010. And those 4 are right here. And it's Costello, Waterman, Bartholomew, and Barnes. Those 4 are the ones that are in the article in the, let's see, what's that one called again? That New York article, the tabloid one. Yeah, so they're all put in there because they are all similar. They're all petite and have hazel eyes. Come on, Zozo. Let's just have a night of just, you know. All right, so we've got the Bartholomew, Barnes, Waterman, and Costello. And they're all found right there. And what's kind of interesting is you can go down to the road right here, and in some of these spots, like this one, you can see right there, there's like these arrows that they put in the ground on the cement itself that actually points over. And I don't know if that was it or not. Let me see, where is that? Especially on some of these other ones. I don't know if they've updated the street view, so it might not be there. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's a little different now because they these weren't there before. That's interesting. I could go back in time. I have it on a video they made, but there's actually arrows on the ground where the bodies were discovered. I mean, it looks like they've been removed, those arrows. That writing is something else. Let me just check where it was on where Waterman was found. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, they got rid of all the little arrows and everything. It was really helpful at the time. That's why I have those pins where they're located are exactly where the arrows were that were pointing out into the brush there. Okay, so let's move on. This is when the first 4 bodies were found right here. They were actually found, I think, on the 13th or 12th of December 2010. So here we go. 3 bodies were found on one of Long Island's most pristine coastal islands yesterday, 2 days after cops found a human skeleton in the same area. The 4 bodies were found between Gilgo Beach and Cedar Beach on a barrier island east of Jones Beach, police said. The bodies were found in heavy brush near Ocean Parkway, a highway that runs along the island. The first discovery was made Saturday by Suffolk police officer John Malia, who was training a police dog for cadaver searches, police said. Detective Lieutenant Gerard Pelkowski, who heads the Suffolk Police Homicide Squad, said the area was selected for training exercise because a missing person was last seen in that vicinity. So they went out there to do a training exercise, just as sort of like, well, there was a missing person out here, and who knows, it might lead to something. Shannon Gilbert, 24, a prostitute from New Jersey, sex worker, met a John on Craigslist. I mean, this how familiar does this sound? I mean, this is crazy. Hey, thanks, VP. And thanks, Zozo up above, and let's see. Also, Brooklyn Knight, Lee D, Michelle Nicholas. All right. Thank you. So, Shannon Gilbert, 24, a prostitute from New Jersey. Now, I have this one chart that's really a good one to have open, and it's right here. It was from the New York Post. Right here. So this has, it's really good. They really laid everything out. It's exactly where I have all these pins too. So Shannon Gilbert is, I don't know if you can see her down here, but that's her right there. Apparently she was they have her down as victim 17 on this one. Yeah. So Shannon Gilbert, 24, a prostitute from New Jersey, met a John on Craigslist and arranged a rendezvous on nearby Fire Island. That was the name of that area that I forgot, right over here to the right. So Fire Island is right over here. In May. Okay, so she was there in May in 2010. It was the last time she was seen alive, and they haven't even found her when this article was written. So that's what's bizarre about this story is they were out there looking and doing training exercises for the search for Shannon Gilbert, and they never found her. It took them a year and a half to find her body, and I'm not even sure they found her, but they found 8 other bodies, I think maybe even up to 10, right along that beach, which is crazy, during the search for somebody else, right? I mean, yeah, so they found those 3 bodies, and now we're going to move on to the next one. And this is the Daily News article, gives you a better picture. That's kind of what it looked like out there at the time. It was very cold. We're talking about December. Right there. Now, Craigslist is just a place where you can sell anything, and even yourself. Cops who fear a serial killer has turned a Long Island beach into a dumping ground yesterday called in the FBI for help. The New York City Medical Examiner is also helping Suffolk County Police identify the 4 decomposing corpses and cadaver dog discovered in Oak Beach, Long Island. A cadaver dog. Cops were looking for clues to the fate of prostitute Shannon Gilbert when they discovered the remains on Saturday and Monday. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They were looking for Shannon Gilbert, but they found 4 other bodies. An early analysis suggests none is Gilbert, who vanished in May after a sex romp in a gated community in Oak Beach. Not sure why they need to call it a sex romp, you know. Preliminarily, it doesn't look like it's her, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Richard Dormer said. The bodies, at least 2 are women, were found on a narrow island off Long Island's south shore between Gilgo Beach and Cedar Beach. Officer John Malia and his dog Blue, hey, all right, another Blue, were walking along the shoulder of Ocean Parkway on Saturday when the pooch's tail suddenly perked up. At that point, I saw the skeletal remains of the body. He and Blue were called in for follow-up searches Monday, and they found the other 3 bodies within a quarter mile of the first, about 50 feet apart. Yeah, Shannon Gilbert's just the one that everybody talks about because it led to the rest of them. Dormer said police are operating on the assumption the victims were slain by a single murderer who drove to the area and dumped the bodies in the roadside brush. We could have a serial killer, he said. I don't think it's a coincidence that 4 bodies ended up in this area. He would not say if there was any sign of trauma or confirm a report that 2 of the bodies were wrapped in burlap That is true right there. It does look like the bodies were there for some time. So it sounds like the person put the bodies in burlap and then threw the bodies, pulled over and then just tossed the bodies into the brush, and it acted as almost like a camouflage. You know how burlap's kind of brown, sort of matched the look of the area. I mean, you can kind of see that right there. He would not say if there was any sign of trauma or confirm report that 2 of the bodies were wrapped in burlap. It does look like the bodies were there for some time. You can tell from the physical evidence that it's possible they were there for a year and a half, 2 years. He declined to say whether cops were trying to link the bodies to any missing person cases beyond Gilbert's. The tattooed 24-year-old who lived in Jersey City was last seen by her pimp running frantically out of a John's pad inside. I'm trying to figure out. Sounds like somebody from the UK wrote this. Inside the gates of the Oak Island Beach Association, a private community. Like, we don't really say pad over here. Oak Beach resident Gustav Coletti, 75, said Gilbert was crazed and clearly high when she pounded on his door begging for help. She was just screaming at the top of her lungs and banging on the door, he told the news. Gustav Coletti. Yeah. When I opened the door, she almost fell into the house. I said, "What is the matter?" She just looked at me and started screaming. She said, "Help me." She said, "Help me, help me." She didn't say anything about people trying to hurt her, Coletti said, adding that she ran off when he offered to call police. Dormer said cops interviewed the John and the pimp in May. Gilbert used Craigslist to find escort work, as did a Maine woman who went missing in Hapa during the summer. Maine cops investigating the disappearance of Megan Waterman, 22. There you go. See, they're mentioning a name here that turns out to be one of these bodies. See, Maine cops investigating the disappearance of Megan Waterman, 22, have spoken with Suffolk police about the Oak Beach bodies. Atlantic City prosecutors said they have spoken with cops about similarities between the Long Island cases and 4 dead prostitutes found dead behind the Black Horse Pike Motel 4 years ago. See, look at all these, the sex workers being killed. It's crazy. Cops said they asked the FBI to get involved because of the likelihood the case could cross state lines. I think it's interesting right here that people up in Maine actually said, hey, they inquired about Megan Waterman, and as it turns out, she was one of those 4 bodies that was found. All right, moving on to the next one. And this is an article from the following day in the paper. The mother of a missing Maine woman last seen working as an escort in New York submitted a DNA sample Wednesday to authorities trying to determine the identities of 4 women whose bodies were found dumped on a deserted beach highway on Long Island. Meanwhile, the FBI offered its assistance, and that's Waterman up there. That's who that. The mother of Waterman submitted DNA. Meanwhile, the FBI offered its assistance with the investigation by Suffolk County authorities, who suspect they may be dealing with a serial killer. Authorities obtained the DNA sample from Lorraine Ella and will ship it to New York in an effort to determine whether one of the bodies found is that of the woman's daughter, said Robert Moulton, chief of Scarborough, Maine Police Department. Megan Waterman, who advertised her escort services on an online classified site, Craigslist. So that's interesting that, see, now you've got Waterman on Craigslist, and you also have Shannon Gilbert on Craigslist. So there's a lot of similarities here, and it's in the same area, right? But a lot of people don't associate Shannon Gilbert with the rest of the killings. And, I can sort of see some of the reasoning there. But, you never know. I mean, were some of these people Did they go to the same house as escorts? Well, it's a different time frame. It doesn't have the same circumstances. It doesn't seem like it. She was killed differently. A lot of them think that she just died of exposure, because you're talking about, it's really cold that time of year. Well, actually, she went missing in May, so it wasn't that bad. But I think it definitely could be related. Just a lot of people don't think it is. Authorities obtained. Let me get to this part. There's definitely a possibility, but we're on hold at this point, Moulton said, of the suspicion that one of the victims is Waterman. Investigators are looking into the disappearance of both Waterman and a 24-year-old New Jersey City woman who was last seen in May. That's Shannon Gilbert, was working as a prostitute. Authorities said when she disappeared not far from where the bodies were found. Suffolk County Police discovered the first body on Saturday and the other 3 on Monday while following up on missing persons report for Gilbert. A Long Island resident recalled seeing the woman, believed to be Gilbert, briefly at his door around 4:45 a.m. on May 1st. I heard screaming at my front door, said Gustav Coletti, who lives in the Ocean Beach about 3 miles from where the bodies were found. She was saying, I need help. I need help. They're after me. Coletti told the Associated Press in a telephone interview. He told the woman he was calling the police, but she immediately turned around and fled, he said. A few months later, a man in a sport utility vehicle drove past the house and told Coletti he was looking for the woman. A few moments later. So that was probably her pimp. Coletti said the driver told him they had been at a party and the woman had become upset. He took off after, and I waited for the police. He said that was the last he saw of either of the driver or the woman, said Coletti, who could not offer details on the SUV or the man. The 4 bodies were systematically dumped, perhaps over a period of 18 months or longer, along a desolate, windy stretch of highway east of Jones Beach State Park on Long Island, South Shore, police said. Because the bodies were each just off the highway, so they were just, right there, boom, basically just tossed out of the car. You pull over, pick the body up, and throw it into the brush. And they're all very small women, 5 feet or shorter, and they all had hazel eyes. Okay, that's actually in some of these earlier articles, believe it or not. And that was sort of the gist of the article that came out today. Let's see. And the bodies were also found within a quarter mile of each other. We're looking at that. What we would have. What is it? We could have a serial killer. I don't think it's a coincidence that 4 bodies ended up in that area. No. But see, they find a whole bunch more. They're just not quite as clustered like those 4. And here's another. This is Shannon Gilbert right there. Girls advertise for $1,000 a night. Most guys who are serial killers can't afford that. Right, but you don't have to pay up front, right? Sex workers made for easy targets because they were often on their backs, making it easy to overpower them, Rifkin recounted as cartoons played on the visiting room TV. He said he paid the prostitutes as much for their temporary friendship as for sex and never just to kill them. I became addicted to sex and companionship, said Rifkin, a long gray ponytail hanging down his back. There was no sentimentality, as he described what he did to women after they were beaten and strangled. You carve them up like a turkey, he said. He said the slangs were a primal surge that he justified by reminding himself the women were drug-addicted hookers with no self-respect. Rifkin says he regrets his rampage, but he sounded bizarrely nostalgic as he spoke about how much easier it was to kill his in his day. He said technology like GPS in cell phones have given police a tremendous advantage in tracking victims. Law enforcement is a lot more sophisticated now than it was when he was picking up prostitutes in Manhattan and spreading their remains across 9 counties. They pull up the Jane Doe. I mean, that's just another killer, right? That's wild. So cops raid Long Island home for clues to, I think it says, I mean, look at that. The wording there, prosty. It's just, cops raided the Long Island home last night where a missing hooker, I'm just going to read it how they say it, was last seen 3 miles from the sand dunes where the bodies of 4 women have been found. Investigators who met with the FBI yesterday descended on the Oak Beach, Long Island home of Joseph Brewer, who had a rendezvous with a girl called Shannon Gilbert. I think this is the guy that they focus in on a lot. More cops arrived later with a police dog, and officers could be seen searching the house. Cops declined to comment on the search. Brewer came under police scrutiny in May after he arranged a hookup with Gilbert, 24, through Craigslist. The 24-year-old New Jersey woman who had mental and drug problems raced from his home in a panic, banging on the neighbors' doors before she vanished. Cops say detectives interviewed Brewer after Gilbert's disappearance and again after the bodies were found. He declined to speak with a reporter yesterday. He's talking to who he needs to talk to, a woman said as she entered the West Islip home of Brewer's mother. Gilbert's family had handed out flyers about her and Oak Beach, complaining cops weren't taking her disappearance seriously. Yeah, and that's sort of true. There's a whole documentary on that aspect of it, the Shannon Gilbert aspect of it. She was a really good person. Her occupation, that's not who she was, her sister Sherry Gilbert, 23, said yesterday. Police were looking for clues to Gilbert's fate when a police dog found the 4 bodies in brush off a highway on the coastal island Saturday. Suffolk cops said a preliminary analysis indicated Gilbert was not among them. The cops will still investigate possible links to her. They'd also collected DNA from the family of missing Maine hooker, they were saying, Megan Waterman, 22, who also advertised on Craigslist and disappeared from Hapa Long Island Hotel in June. It's weird how, the terminology and everything's changed. They say sex workers now. Oh, wow. Vernon. Hey, yeah, see this guy here? Vernon Gabert, a retired New York Police Department homicide commander. He's the book that I have. I have his book. It's it costs like $200. It's crazy. Textbooks are considered criminal investigation Bibles. Yep. Said he has no doubt a serial killer was using the dunes near Gilgo Beach as a graveyard and shrine. I believe the guy is local, familiar with the location, and has returned to the burial ground to retrieve the murderers for sexual gratification. And to relive the murders for sexual gratification. He is in a panic state now that the bodies were found, but he'll kill again. Yeah, and I think this is the property right there. And as a matter of fact, I think just looking at that one, if you go to, there's no street view on that street. It's like this private community. But right here, there's street view. And I think it's maybe that house right there. I can't tell 100%, but now let me drive a little bit further this way. It definitely has those decks on it. I mean, who knows what the helicopter was filming, but it's right around in that area. Is this interesting to you guys? Look at that. There it is. Maniac on the loose. See, there you go. So is that a yes or no, Patricia? Just kidding. Maniac on the loose. 4 bodies found at beach in Long Island. Hint at Slayer. So these are similar. You know, I'm sure this is kind of a similar article to the last one. The bodies, at least 2 are women, were found on a narrow island off Long Island. Yeah, so I think this is just repeating. It just has other images to look at right there. But you can see there's even snow on the ground when they were out there. And on the 18th, IDing bodies will be tough. Cops warned they may never identify the bodies of 4 women dumped on a coastal island and said they have no idea if a serial killer is responsible. Police said early on the corpses were linked but backed away from that yesterday, suggesting the case will not be easily solved. Well, you shouldn't say that they weren't back away from their being linked. The possibility remains that we may not be successful in making an identification on each of them. So far, cops have only been able to rule out possible victims. Forensic evidence showed the remains of New Jersey hooker Shannon Gilbert, who vanished after leaving the Oak Beach home of a John, were not among the bodies. Neubauer said, hey, look at that, Neubauer. Claudia Neubauer said, cops do not believe those of Megan Waterman, 22, a Maine call girl who disappeared from Hot Pot. Let's see. Do not believe those of... Well, they're wrong. Isn't that funny? That was a relief to the Waterman's grandmother. Idiots. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, because she's right there. The Waterman. She was one of the 4. So the grandmother, you totally teased the grandmother. You made her feel like, oh, wow, great. And then, boom, you know. I think she's out there somewhere. You gave them false hope. The bodies in varying stages of decomposition were found near Gilgo Beach. On Tuesday, as the case captured national attention, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Richard Dormer said he suspected a serial killer. Yeah. Alright, and then about a month later, in 2011, prostitute from Maine is one of the 4 Long Island victims. A Craigslist prostitute from Maine has been identified. I mean, God, doesn't that piss you off a little bit? That they told him, oh yeah, nope, not her. Long Island last month, authorities said yesterday. Suffolk County investigators said Megan Waterman was the victim of foul play, but they would not disclose the cause of death. I knew since she first went missing that something terrible had happened to her, said Waterman's mother, Lorraine Ella of Portland, Maine. I had that motherly instinct. I knew once they found those bodies it wasn't going to be a positive outcome. But I still held out hope, especially after they told you she wasn't one of them. Waterman's body was identified through DNA match, and police said they were closing in on identifying the 3 other bodies. Progress is being made, said Suffolk County District Attorney Thomas Spoda. I don't know if It'll be days, but it should come in short period of time. He said that since the bodies were found last month, sparking fears of a serial killer on the loose, relatives of other missing women have contacted police. They supplied DNA samples and dental records. The 22-year-old waterman was last seen at a Holiday Inn Express in Hapa. Let's see where that is. Let's see. I'm sure it's still there. Holiday Inn Express. There it is. And that's the only one, so that's where she was seen. So it's not really that far away. All right. On Memorial, she was last seen there on Memorial Day weekend. Shit. Now I gotta look that up. So May 31st, 2010, was it? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Oh yeah, it does. So she'd been missing for about 7 months or so by then. Okay, Cruz 21 is serving a 20-month stint in a Maine. Let's see, hold on. On Memorial Day weekend, after traveling to New York with Akeem Cruz, a Brooklyn man, her family is described as a boyfriend. Cops stumbled upon the 4 sets of skeletal remains in the weeds behind Gilgo Beach while hunting for another missing Craigslist hooker, Shannon Gilbert. Police quickly ruled out that the Gilbert was among the bodies found. She remains missing. Investigators have said they thought a serial killer may be on the loose, but backed off yesterday, saying they will not speculate. Well, it's pretty obvious. You just didn't want to scare people. Well, thanks, Zozo. I turned it back on. Alright, so this article is 5 days later. Cops fear a Craigslist killer, a serial killer, is on the loose after confirming that 3 missing hookers advertised online were among the bodies dumped on a Long Island beach. Suffolk County cops yesterday identified the skeletal remains as Melissa Barthélemy, 24, who lived in the Bronx, Amber Lynn Costello, 27, of North Babylon, and Maureen Barnes, 25, of Norwich, Connecticut. So all 3 of these women here were also Craigslist, right? So, you know, the killer obviously called all 4 of the women bodies that they found using Craigslist. And then also Shannon Gilbert was called on Craigslist. So that's a similarity that they have. I've always thought that Shannon Gilbert was related somehow, but police don't seem to throw her into the mix for some reason. Okay. It appears the seaside sicko may be hunting a certain type of prostitute. See, this was mentioned, the same information that was put out in today's article is mentioned right here. All 3 were tiny women under 5 feet and about 100 pounds. So when you're looking at somebody on Craigslist, it'll say, oh, I'm 4'11", 97 pounds, and they all had hazel eyes too. Their identification came a week after cops identified a fourth body found on Gilgo Beach as Megan Waterman, 22, a Maine sex worker, missing since the summer. She was 5'5" and 150 pounds. So a big, difference there in size for sure. Similarities in how the women were killed and dumped, their body types and ages, and use of Craigslist to advertise has fueled the theory. So she hadn't even been found yet, Shannon Gilbert. They're just mentioning what she looked like. Fueled the theory that a lone maniac is the culprit. I think it fits within the known definition of what a serial killer would be, Suffolk County District Attorney Thomas Boda said. Authorities have not said how the women were killed, but a source said there are substantial similarities in terms of the causes of death. Costello, who disappeared last September 2nd, recently returned to the New York area from Clearwater, Florida. See, I found her home in Clearwater, but not the ones up north, where she returned to prostitution to support a drug habit, a friend said. She didn't want to do this. The drugs just took over, the friend said. I talked to her about maybe 6 months ago, and she said she was making a living on Craigslist and Backpage. She described Costello as a beautiful, natured person who trusted anybody. That's why she probably ended up the way she did. She had no fear, the friend said. This is really sad. Arrest records in Florida said Costello stood just 4'10" and weighed 100 pounds. She was a very small girl, her friend said. She had a body like a child. See, one of the things I was wondering about is the killer either chose the size of the bodies to easily overcome them, or chose them because they remind him of children, and because he can just call them and have them come to his house, it reminded of him of children, and then he killed them. Or he felt he had kind of he wasn't too excited about his own size of himself, if you know what I'm talking about. So he thought he'd get the smallest person he could find, right? So it's something in one of those three. Could just be that he wanted to be able to overcome them, or he looked at them as if they were children because they were so tiny. Bartholomew, who had been missing since July 2009, grew up in Buffalo and moved to the city to be a stripper about 5 years ago, her family said. Hold on a second. Okay. Arrest records in Florida said Costello stood just 4'10". Okay. Bartholomew, who had been missing since July 2009, grew up in Buffalo and moved to the city to be a stripper. She's a feisty little thing. She loved that fast life. Mom Lynn Bartholomew described her daughter in a 2009 interview with a Buffalo TV station. So she'd been missing, obviously, for a while then. Okay, so she was found in 2010. She recalled warning her daughter, who was just 4'11" and weighed 95 pounds, to take care. Before we hung up, I always said I love you. Be careful if you get in trouble. It's not like you're right around the block. It's going to take me 7 hours to get to you, she said. A neighbor at the Soundview apartment where Bartholomew was last seen said she disappeared one night, never returned, leaving behind 8 cats and all her belongings. Her mom came later with a bunch of detectives and emptied the apartment. She was really devastated. Barnes had been missing since July 2007, cops said. A missing persons bulletin at the time of her disappearance listed her as 4'11", 105 pounds. Very similar. Craigslist does not accept sex for sale listings anymore. The online classified site ditched them after medical student Philip Markoff was arrested for preying on hookers he met through the internet. And let's see. And this is the house of Melissa Bartholomew. I actually have that house. So, you know, everybody lives, most of them live pretty close to around or were somewhere close at the time. So, kind of a decent looking neighborhood there, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anywhere in New York's really like, yeah, man, I'd love to live there type of thing. That's my perception of it. Okay. So now we're on to the next one. Okay, I think we did that one, did this one. All right, more prank. This was pretty crazy here. Let me see if this is, go to this one first. Yeah, Craigslist remains a haven for hookers, it says. Melissa Bartholomew, 24, was last seen alive July 12, 2009. Okay, so that means a year and a half till they found her. But her sister in Buffalo got calls. See, this is crazy. Listen to this. But her sister in Buffalo got calls from her cell phone on July 16th, 19th, and 23. On the 23rd. Do you know what your sister is doing? She's a whore, a man menacing said. So this is before anybody really even knew anything about her missing. So this is the killer, okay? There's almost no doubt about it. Calling from her phone, too. I mean, it's crazy. Do you know what your sister is doing? She's a whore, a man menacing said. It's unclear whether the caller... See, now, when you read that one, and if this is the killer, that would be more of the first scenario where he wanted to be big enough to overpower them. Because now it seems like he has angers against, a lot of anger against sex workers. And it doesn't have the, sort of the, oh, they're like a child. It's more that he wants to be able to make sure that they can't fight back with any ability whatsoever. You know, you're talking 95 pounds, right? And either that or he might not be very big himself. You know, like, for example, if he weighed 250, he wouldn't care if you weighed 150. But if he's somebody that's a little smaller, let's say he's 5'6" and 140, you know, he's going to want somebody that's really tiny so he can overpower them. Yeah. And don't forget, everybody, I'm just a cup of coffee. I know this is a Monday of a week, but we got to keep on trucking to the end of the year. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, you know, somebody weighing 200 pounds fits in the trunk of a car. Thanks, Lee D. Yeah, so anyways, this guy took her freaking cell phone, right, and said, do you know what your sister is doing? She's a whore, a man menacing said. It's unclear whether the caller was the psycho who murdered Bartholomew. I think it's obvious. And 3 other hookers, including Amber Lynn Costello of Long Island, and dumped them on a beach. Thanks, Lee D. The NYPD, which has opened a missing persons case on the Bronx-based prostitute, was able to trace the last 2 calls to the Madison Square Garden. Isn't that crazy? Madison Square Garden and Times Square. Here, let's just throw that on the map just to kind of... Alright. So it seems like he purposely picked places that were absolutely crowded with people, and there'd be 1,000 cell phones pinging there, you know. So pretty smart, actually. I mean, when you go to Times Square, you can't isolate a cell phone at that point. Even though they know her phone was there, he's just going to be in a crowd of thousands of people that are all on their phone, right? Yeah, so the 2 calls came in from right there to her sister's house on using her phone, using the missing person's phone, or Melissa Barthelemy's phone. I mean, she's dead at this point. They found her body. It's unclear whether the caller was a psycho who murdered Barthelemy and the 3 others. Okay, let's see. So it's right here. They were able to trace the last 2 calls to the Madison Square Garden and Times Square area, but he shuts off right away, so we can never figure out where he was exactly, one law enforcement source said. When cops got Barthelemy's phone records, they determined that around the time she vanished, she checked her voicemail from Massapequa, Long Island. They showed her, they showed her picture at several motels, but no one recognized her. They traced a second phone that belonged to her to an ex-con who said he picked it up after a tussle between hookers in Times Square orchestrated by a pimp. I don't understand that. They traced a second phone that belonged to her to an ex-con who said he picked it up after a tussle between hookers in Times Square. Barthelemy's body was found at Gilgo Beach in December, along with the remains of Costello, 27, Connecticut call girl Maureen Barnes, 25, and Maine sex worker Megan Waterman. 8 months earlier, psychic hired by Barthelemy's family told them she was buried in a shallow grave overlooking the ocean. Oh, wow! Whoa, man, that's incredible. That's got to be accurate. Yeah, well, everywhere in New York is overlooking an ocean, basically, right? I mean, you're kind of... Let's see. With a sign in the background with the letter G. Oh, Gilgo Beach, everybody. There we go. See, here's the thing is, if the letter G was in the middle of the word, she'd say, see? It's right in the middle. It's... Yeah. Barthelemy's grandfather declined to talk yesterday, saying the family was very shaken up. We're just waiting for the body to come back up to Buffalo, he said. The family is in shock right now. Meanwhile, Costello's crying sister said she wants Amber Lynn to be seen as more than a cautionary tale. And by the way, she wasn't in a shallow grave. She was tossed into the brush in a burlap sack. So you got it wrong there, psychic. Right now, she's remembered as one of the prostitutes with a drug problem found murdered and dumped on the side of the road. I hope she'll be remembered as the loving and caring person she was, she said. She may be my sister. She's all I had. Drug addiction drove Costello into prostitution, and Overstreet 33, and Overstreet 33 brought her from Florida to Long Island a year ago to get her into rehab. She was fighting a game she couldn't win, being on Craigslist and a drug problem. You can't win. After Costello disappeared, Overstreet suspected foul play, but getting confirmation was a shock. That's Kimberly Overstreet. Right now she remembered. Yeah. Yeah, and then this is just sort of the overall general story here. Craigslist banned hooker ads amid outrage over a killer who trolled for victims online, but it remains bustling marketplace for sex for sale. The Daily News had no problem finding ads that were posted by women and men who expected compensation. I charge hun, full service is $200 for the hour, $150 for a half hour. A woman calling herself Chloe. Hey! So now we've had a Blue and a Chloe in these stories. Told the news after being contacted through a listing in Casual Encounters. A poster named Kim was asking for $200 for full service. I'm beautiful from Brazil, the prostitute told a reporter. What you see is what you get, 100%. Yeah, so anyways, they were still using people are still using Craigslist even then. Yeah, so here we go. Look at this. This is a couple days later. The teen sister of a slain hooker said yesterday that she received 6 menacing calls from a suspected killer saying her missing sibling was a whore. Melissa Bartholomew, 16-year-old sister Amanda, got the first call on July 16, 2009, 4 days after her sister was last seen. The calls continued through August 26th, and then, see, the thing is, there wasn't a lot of media coverage for anybody to have known, and then also, how did you get the phone, right? So it's pretty obvious this is the killer right here. The calls continued through August 26th and then abruptly stopped. Police had initially said Bartholomew's relatives received just 3 calls, but the family revealed the additional conversations at a press conference yesterday. Investigators traced 2 of the calls to Manhattan near Madison Square Garden and Times Square. The last call was on August 26th, and they were always to Amanda. So now we're talking 3 months after she went missing. He's still harassing this girl. And they're always to Amanda. During one call, Lynn snatched the phone from her daughter's hand, but the caller hung up after hearing her voice. Amanda said the calls made her feel terrible. It wasn't something that should have been said to a 16-year-old. The family wouldn't discuss the content of the creepy calls, describing them simply as crude. But a law enforcement source said the caller taunted the family, saying chillingly, "Do you know what your sister is doing? She's a whore." I would just like to set the record straight that she wasn't a mean person. She wasn't a bad person, her father, Mark Sitzpla, said, breaking down in tears. Bartholomew, 24, grew up in Buffalo, but her most recent home was in the Bronx. That's where she was last seen alive. Bartholomew's mother said she knew her daughter worked as an exotic dancer, but the family wasn't aware she had turned to prostitution and sold her services on Craigslist. I told her I wasn't happy about it, and to be careful, she said. Let's see. She said she was never alone, and it was just dancing. Right. Her daughter's body, along with 3 others, was found on Gilgo Beach in Long Island in December. The other women also were prostitutes who advertised on Craigslist. So, yeah, this guy was probably a Craigslist killer before the Craigslist killer. See, we're into 2011 now. Okay, now we're... A pimp of one-time slain Craigslist hooker dumped on a isolated Long Island beach is in the Fed's crosshairs. FBI agents sought a search warrant this week to troll through the laptop of Akeem Cruz, a Brooklyn pimp and cocaine dealer, according to records filed in Brooklyn Federal Court. Cruz, also known as Vibe and Mello, was one of the last people known to have seen 22-year-old Megan Waterman alive when he pimped her out at a Holiday Inn Express in Hapa. Waterman's remains, along with those of 3 other missing prostitutes, were found on Gilgo Beach. So anyways, they're checking out his laptop, probably trying to figure out if it could lead to, who the killer was that she was with that night. Yeah, so this is April 5th, 2011. And I know Susanna's like, oh, that looks like my dog. A Long Island beach believed to be a serial killer's dumping ground yielded new horrors yesterday. 3 more sets of human remains. That brings to 8 the number of bodies. So I guess there was another one found, but I didn't find that one listed. That brings to 8 the number of bodies, at least 4 of them of Craigslist hookers, found between Gilgo Beach and Oak Beach. I'm shaking, said Lynn Bartholomew, 42, of Buffalo, the mother of one of the earlier victims. How many more bodies are going to be found, and how many more girls are going to be murdered before they catch this guy? Her daughter's remains, wrapped in burlap, were found with 3 other sets in December while cops were looking for missing escort Shannon Gilbert. It took a month to identify the bodies as Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, Maureen Barnes, and Amber Costello. All prostitutes who had looked for Johns online. Let's see, so you've got Bartholomew, Waterman, Barnes, Costello. So that's 4. What's the 5th one? Because the other 3 would make 8, right? It might be an unidentified one. These are poor girls who unfortunately got into the escort business to keep a roof over their heads. Since Gilbert was not found, cops continue to canvass a 7-mile area north for more clues. Last week they found, here it is, a 5th set of remains, but determined those did not belong to Gilbert, who had a metal plate in her jaw. Then yesterday, while dozens of cops with cadaver-sniffing dogs surveyed the dense undergrowth along the beach, they found 3 more sets of remains. Police said they should be able to determine quickly if any belonged to Gilbert, who went missing from a customer's nearby home on May 1st. Suffolk officials said the canvass has been difficult, with officers infected with poison ivy and the dog having trouble getting through the brush. They don't like getting smacked in the face with brambles, said Suffolk County Chief of Detective Dominic Verone. Cops sealed off a large section of Ocean Parkway, which runs along the beach, and only local residents with ID will be able to travel on what's now become a giant crime scene. Residents are eager for cops to find the culprit. It's an easy dumping ground, said Susan Kane, 47, a mother of 5 who lives in Oak Island Beach. I tell my son and daughter to be careful. Yeah, so now we've got 8 bodies there. And that picture I used for the thumbnails right here. Families of women on the margins are left to fear the worst as police sift through grim evidence of serial killings on both coasts. So I guess somewhere else too. Suffolk County Police searched an area of beach Tuesday near where human remains were found in Babylon, New York. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to take a break for a while here. Might have to pick this up on another time. Hey, thank you to Mary Clark and Lee D. This is one of those nights where I always wonder if people are interested in it, because it's one of those really poor nights, you know. So I always go, God, is that man? What does that mean?
Surfer.
Yep, there's a surfer. Yep. I think it's one of those waves that's just going to crash into the shore. All right, let me see. On scrub-covered Long Island Beach, police continue to search for bodies in a serial killer case that experts say will be difficult to solve. State troopers will join the search Monday on Babylon, New York Barrier Island, where the remains of 8 people have been discovered since December. Police say the victims are the work of a serial killer and were slain elsewhere and dumped on the beach. The oldest remains have been there at least a couple of years, and newest were people reported missing last year. Hey, thanks, Kevin Brown. Last year, Nassau County Police Commissioner Richard Dormer said 4 of the victims have been identified by police as women who worked as prostitutes. And, you know, one of the victims, he's still unidentified, but it's an Asian male, and he was dressed like a woman. So it's another interesting, you know, some of these, it's just crazy. There's some of the stuff going on here.
Enjoying listing tonight.
Oh, I know what it meant. I just read it as listening. Yeah. So anyways, let's see. And also in a couple instances, there's really just a head and hands, and then the other body parts are found miles away at different times. Like in one instance, you have a body parts that were found in 1997, and then in 2011 or 10, I guess, or I mean no, 2011, they found the remaining parts, and they connected them through DNA. Isn't that wild? Nonetheless, such cases are very rare. Let's see what else we got up here. When bodies have been dumped somewhere other than the murder site, there is little evidence to aid investigation. 4 sets of remains on Gilgo Beach were discovered in December when police were searching for Shannon Gilbert. A 5th body was found March 29th. Let me see which one that is. Hold on. Because I have the dates on these. Oh, I think that's actually, yeah, that's one of the ones that is identified now. It's Jessica Taylor, right here. March 29th. So she's been identified. And look how close she is again. I mean, you know, boom, 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 boom. And look where the Asian male is, right there. He was found on April 4th, just 5 days after Jessica Taylor was found, and he's one of the other 3 now that I think about it. So you've got Jessica Taylor here, the Asian male, found a few days later, because then they probably went, whoa, you know, we need to do a full-on search here. Then they found, here's something that's interesting that I found out today. See this right here? Valerie Mack, she's the one that they just identified this year. And that she was Jane Doe number 6. And then there was a toddler found right here. And they always thought that she was the mother of the toddler. But it turns out that she isn't. The mother of the toddler's body was found way away somewhere else, murdered. And then Valerie had half of her body found as well, you know, in a totally different location. I mean, this is just a bizarre shit going on out here. See, her body was found right here off this road, and another body was found right there. Oh, yeah, and I think, God, what was the other body that was found? Let me go back to that picture. It's right here. It says, a woman with a heart-shaped peach tattoo on her left breast found in 1997. And so that would be number, shit. Woman with a, I think it was right here. Or right up here is where I was looking at. Originally thought to be the daughter of Jane Doe number 6, she was later linked by DNA to an unidentified female found 7 miles away in Nassau County, not on the map. Let's see. And there was another part that was interesting. Tattoo with cherries. Prostitute who was found in 2008 in a small suitcase. They think there might be up to 17 victims, is what this is saying. Bodies washed up on. There was. Where the hell is that one? Jane, her torso was found miles away in Manorville. Her head was found and right foot on the beach. So see number 6 right there next to the toddler? All they found was her head, hands, and right foot. So it was like smaller items you could put in a bag and then toss. I mean, that's some crazy crap right there, isn't it? Oh yeah, here we go.
Thanks for doing this case. It's so deserving of press but written off by so many.
Well, I think it's interesting as hell. I covered it a long time ago. I made a video showing the spots. Now look at this weird one. Jessica Taylor, the one that was found on March 29th, the 5th body. Listen to this. While her head and hands were found on the beach, her torso was discovered miles away in Manorville, along with the body of Jane Doe number 6. So this girl here and this girl, their main body parts were found in Manorville, which is exactly where I was just showing you guys, right here. So their bodies were found right there. And then their head and hands and crap. I mean, it's disgusting as hell is what it is. Yeah. So let me put Jessica Taylor with this right over here. I'm going to put Jessica Taylor also. Actually, I'll put a separate pin just to make it. So you know the same killer, right? I mean, he obviously... Look, there's no way in hell that these two aren't related. That Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor's killing wasn't done by the same person. Okay? And the reason I know that is because Jessica Taylor's body was found... Hey, thanks, Barbara.
Thank you for the information so much.
Yeah, no problem. Jessica Taylor's body is found right here, right? And then Valerie Mack's found right there. And then miles away, right in the same exact spot, the other body parts are found. So that's obvious. And it makes you kind of wonder what in the hell this sick ass was doing with that. Because he... let's read that one article, this part again. Hold on. While her head and hands were found in the beach. Doesn't that sound familiar? Head and hands found at the beach. And then right here, head and hands found, head and hands and right foot. So another small piece. You know, it's like you put the head and hands and so forth in these, you know, I don't know if they were in burlap sacks in the case of Jessica Taylor and Jane Doe 6, who turns out to be Valerie Mack later. Anyways, isn't this crazy ass shit right here? All right, let me get back to these articles. New bones found at Long Island Beach. So this is April 12th. How many more will find? Let me turn this down a little bit. It's up pretty high. How many more will they find? That was the grim question facing Long Island cops after they discovered 2 more sets of bones on a barrier beach that is believed to be a serial killer dumping ground. The remains appear to be human, and once they're verified, it will mean 10 victims have been found since December. So this is April. So in a 5-month period, they found 10 bodies on that beach. The remains appear to be human, and once that's verified, it will mean that there were 10 victims. It's just that we're finding these things, said Detective Lieutenant Kevin Smith of the Nassau County Police Department, who confirmed the findings. it's just amazing that we're finding these things. The unsettling discovery was made just hours after police expected their search for bodies to the Nassau County side of the pristine, remote beach. At 11:20 a.m., a cadaver-sniffing dog, led by a state trooper, found a partial skeleton about 1.5 miles east of the iconic water tower at Jones Beach State Park. Then about 3:30 p.m., searchers found a skull hidden in a thicket in a bird sanctuary east of Jones Beach. God, it's just freaking nuts, man. Yeah, so where was 9 and 10? 7 miles away in Nassau County. Let me see if we... let me just use that 1.5 mile thing for a second here. Partial skeleton about 1.5 miles east of the iconic water tower at Jones Beach State Park. Let's see what that is. Okay. So right there. And then let's see, if we get down to the road, we can probably see the water tower, and then we can sort of guess. Seems like you'd be... Oh, is that the water tower at... What's that thing? That's a sign. I think. It's like a pallet or something. I don't know where the water tower is. Let me... Maybe it's listed there. Yeah, well, that's what I do on this channel. I try to make it so you can see, kind of feel like, you know what it looks like. You're on the ground. You know, even though I'm using Google Earth, I can't fly around the country, and at least not yet. Nor would I really want to, you know. Well, let's see. Maybe it's an actual... Huh, well, that's Jones Beach State. Is that the tower that they're talking about? Oh, okay, let's try that. Oh, so there it is. I had it there. Skull found, victim 10. Like, it was found right there. Right there in that, on that beach right there. So let's see, 11:20 a.m. cadaver sniffer dog, led by state trooper, found a partial skeleton about 1.5 miles east of the iconic water tower at Jones Beach State Park. Okay, so let's see, 1.5 miles. I'll go with the start about right there. We are at, well, that's 1.87, so so maybe it's more up in this area. But it actually said it was found in Bay, this beach, like Bay Beach or something like that. So I thought that was it, but I don't know. I can always change that later. Where is Bay Beach? Yeah, right there. Yeah. So there's Bay Beach. Then about 3:30 p.m., searchers found a skull hidden in a thicket in a bird sanctuary east of Jones Beach. So near there as well. The first 8 bodies were found on the eastern side of the barrier island. Investigators believe the bones found yesterday are human. The bones were sent to Nassau County Medical Examiner's office for... I think it's kind of obvious when you see a skull if it's human or not, unless you're assuming that there's, monkeys running around in your area. And you might make a mistake really quick, even though monkeys don't look anything like humans. I mean, if you find a human skull, you don't need to tell people, we think it might be human. The case seems to grow more mysterious and frightening with each search. And now, I'm sort of get that same feeling just reading it, right? And we're reading it in a short period of time where they had time in between to digest it and live in the area. Suffolk cops were searching for missing New Jersey prostitute Shannon Gilbert when 4 sets of remains. See, they're always doing like a little, recaps in these articles here. All right, then 4 days after that, Long Island serial killer taunted victim's sister. Wanted for murder, several Long Island prostitutes confessed to killing one of the victims. Let's see. The serial killer wanted for murdering several Long Island prostitutes confessed to killing one of the victims after a series of taunting calls to her family. Isn't that weird, because that's so similar to the other one? According to reports, the dangerous serial killer used, I guess that's what they're referring to, actually. The deranged serial killer used hooker Melissa Barthelomy's cell phone to dial her younger sister at least 7 times and then admitted killing the 29-year-old prostitute from Bronx. Whoa. So then that means another call was made. Remember, there was only 6, now there was 7. In the final call, he said he had killed Melissa. The dead girl's mother, Lynn Bartholomew, told the New York Times. Oh, boy. Bartholomew disappeared in July 2009, and her body was discovered in Long Island in December, along with 3 other women. All advertised their services on Craigslist. Amanda Bartholomew, Melissa, 16-year-old sister, told Good Morning America yesterday that the alleged killer unleashed taunting and angry words during his cruel calls. My heart would stop and I just didn't know what to do, she said. I'm scared of my own protection. The fact that that he's calling my phone, I have to be worried about. Is that going to happen to me one day? The Suffolk County Police Underwater Search and Recovery Unit found new evidence yesterday at Oak Beach, discovering a bone, although sources later said they don't believe it was human. So that was... Why bring that up then? Look how stupid that wording is. Hey, the Suffolk County Police Underwater Search and Recovery Unit found new evidence yesterday at Oak Beach. Oh, wow, what did they find? Well, we found a bone that's not human and it's not really related. But hey, we thought we'd get you excited for a second. The evidence was sealed in an evidence... See, that's what I can't stand in these stupid ass, when people report like that. It's the same morons who do the, the YouTube videos with the title that says something like, New Evidence Discovered, and then there really isn't anything, but they got 20,000 extra views because it was sensationalism. Yeah. The evidence was sealed in an evidence container. Oh, good for that. Since the gruesome discovery of the 4 bodies in December, Suffolk County police have found 4 more corpses. A skull and a bag believed to contain human remains were also found this week, bringing the presumed death toll to 10. The FBI has offered Suffolk County detectives their help, and forensic tests were underway. Yeah, and now we're... Sex seeker wrote of killing us. Oh, wow. Let's see. Chilling words. Tell Tell her we are all coming over there with baseball bats, threatened one member, a self-declared ex-con known as Maury. Shortly after, a pal called Italy Writer asked for her address. I think that was her username, Italy Writer. Asked for her address. No one from this board needs to be involved. I have friends who can take care of this. Oh wait, maybe that was him, and then I think that might have been Humilitrix 69 wrote, I want to be spiteful and get revenge, but I'm going to private message the info. I want to get the exact address. I will go by there tonight. Let's see what this is about. Members of an internet sex forum hatch a revenge plot against a Long Island hooker who was later murdered and dumped in a serial killer burial ground. Talk on the Long Island Erotic.com shows members were outraged when one of their cronies claimed he had paid Amber Costello $200 for sex, only to be robbed by men who barged into her West Babylon home. Tell her we are all coming over there with baseball bats, threatened one member. So like a setup kind of deal. That ominous threat and more to follow has opened a window on what probers say is a virtually unregulated sex network of Johns, hookers, and escort services. The internet has really become a highway for criminality, said Eugene O'Donnell, a professor of law and police studies at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. In terms of prostitution, it's moved a pretty public enterprise into the shadows more than ever, and made it more difficult for law enforcement. Let's see. It doesn't sound... I just think that guy was doing a threat. He would have no reason to have killed the other three. A message board member known as Humilitrix 69 first raged on July 11th, 2010 about getting suckered by Costello and company hours earlier. Shortly after, a pal called... You know what's weird, though? Maybe it's those posts that also angered the serial killer. Saw those posts and was like, yeah, and then looked her up, and she fit the size and everything, and then that's what led to him knowing, contacting her perhaps. Shortly after, a pal iterator asked for her address. No one from this board needs to be involved. Posted Costello's address. So he posted her address, a description of her home, and her phone number. 3 days later, Maury chimed in. A friend of ours told me today that you won't... Oh, that's kind of interesting. Let's see. Is it on the next... Is this a PDF file or what? What is it? You won't hear... Oh, good. There's more. So that's her home right there. You won't hear from drug addict who disappeared. You won't hear from the drug addict who disappeared on September 2nd, 2010. That was 8 weeks after Humilitrix 69 aired his anger on the message board and posted raunchy pictures of her from her sex ad on New York Backpage. Costello and the other three slain hookers advertised on Craigslist and other sites. Costello's sister, Kimberly Overstreet, 33, told the news she tried to protect her from the hazards of turning tricks. She knew there was a risk. Costello arranged to meet a John on the day she disappeared, the sister said, at 10:20 p.m. Costello left her home on American Avenue and was never seen again. That looks like a sketch of the home. Let's see. America Avenue, West Babylon, New York. And so how long is the avenue? Does it keep going over here? No? Huh. I was going to see if I can find it really fast. Still America Avenue. And then I think it ends. Does it continue over here though? Ah, shit. That sucks. Probably about 10 miles long. What's going on? No, that doesn't look like it. I don't know. Couldn't just find it really fast, so could be one of the ones under the trees. Supposedly it's on that road though. All right. Okay, it looks like some of this is repetitive information. And this is like 3 weeks after that, May 2011. Multiple monsters. 3 separate murders account. See, they think there's 3 separate murders. Murder mystery took a macabre turn yesterday with the revelation there are 3 killers on the loose, and one of them is a butcher. Body parts found near Gilgo Beach were matched to skeletons of 2 women discovered years ago in Manorville, Long Island. Yeah, so they found the bodies in Manorville, Long Island years ago, and like the 90s, and they matched them to 2 of the bodies found in 2010. So those were done way before the other ones, right? While one of the 2 women was a Manhattan hooker, investigators said their killer is not the same monster who killed and dumped 4 Craigslist prostitutes elsewhere on the beach. It is clear that the area in and around Gilgo Beach had been used to discard human remains for some time, Suffolk County District Attorney Thomas Spoda said. As distasteful and disturbing as that is, there is no evidence that all of these remains are the work of a single killer. You know, you sort of wonder if there's like this community of killers sometimes. And they just sort of, hey, you know, a great place, you know, you dump your body on the you know, Gilgo Beach area along that strip. You know, because the ones on Craigslist, it could have just been that that's how that killer evolved too. So let's say he started killing when he was 20, 22, 20, you know, 25 even. And he was doing it differently, killing them elsewhere, then dumping their bodies there. Then later was like, wow, you know what? They found the bodies that I put out on the mainland, but the one on Long Island there, they never found those. So then he figures out a new way to find his victims, and he can really be specific on what they look like instead of just picking up a random prostitute on the street. He can actually look for ones that match what he wants to find. Now he's using Craigslist, and he finds them, kills them, and then dumps their body on that same beach that had always remained, you know, where nobody found the bodies for years. See, because the bodies were being dumped there since 97. And it wasn't until 2010. So, man, if that was the same guy, he probably felt really safe putting those bodies in that area, right? Even though the MOs got a little different, you still have these dismembered bodies. I think it's obvious. We don't know for sure, but when you look at where Jessica Taylor's found, so close to these other ones, and then her body is found right next to Jane Doe number 6, who has a name now. It turned out to be, hold on a second, Valerie Mack, and their bodies are found right next to each other. Way out, way up here. Right here, way out in the crazy area. I mean, the person must have driven down this power line area. There's actually a road there if you go to a different, that time of year. Let's see. Yeah, more like that. Yeah, well anyways, he drove out there and then put the bodies there. So that's obviously the same killer, but what's interesting is these were from like 1997. And so that means he put the main torsos in this area, maybe so he could go back and revisit. I don't know what he was doing. It's kind of disturbing to think about. And then he dumped the heads and hands and a foot of one of the victims down in this area, right here. So this is where Valerie Mack was found, unrelated to the toddler that the killer dumped there. See, how can you not say that these two are related right here? Even though they're not related in person, the killer's got to be the same because they're within, how many feet is that? It's just 170 feet. It's like 50 yards away. So you have to think, okay, then that child is related. And then there was also another body that was found later that was the mother of that body. So then that body is probably related. See, that means that he killed the adult somewhere else. And I think she was dismembered as well. Then he had the baby to deal with, and he just tossed the baby here in a similar spot where he had thrown other small parts. See, it's like he evolved later. Here's what I think is possible, is that early on he would kill people, and then to hide who the people were that, instead of carrying an entire body, he would cut their heads off, hands and feet, and then he would transport the heads, hands and feet somewhere completely different, and then put them in a burlap sack and then toss those out, and then the torso and the other part of the body is somewhere completely different. And then later on maybe evolved into, well shit, nobody's found anything on the Gilgo Beach straightaway, Ocean Parkway there, so why don't we just dump the bodies there from now on? Yeah. So anyways, just some thoughts. I put the links in the description where you can see some of these. And this is Barthelemy's father putting up a cross. And those were still there a while ago. It looks like some of those are gone now, given that new street view that we looked at. All right. New York suburb deals with latest notorious murder case. This is December 11th, 2011. It's the largest murder investigation ever on New York's Long Island. 10 people slain and strewn along a remote beach highway over 15 years, possibly all victims of the same serial killer, but it's not the first time the New York suburbs have been in the national spotlight for its homicides. Let's see. The so-called Gilgo Beach murder mystery, however, is something altogether different. The biggest investigation I've ever been involved in. Suffolk County Police Commissioner Richard Dormer told the Associated Press. Hey, thanks, Gene. Appreciate it. It's garnered the most publicity of any case that I've handled in more than 30 years. See right here, Gilbert found the whereabouts of Gilbert, the woman who sparked the investigation, remained a mystery until a few days ago. She was last seen running hysterically from a client's home in Oak Beach, a gated community along Ocean Parkway several miles from where the other victims were found. This week, police found her personal effects in marshland near Oak Beach, then continue to look for her remains. Dormer said officers suspect she drowned in the marshland, and her death is not believed to be connected to the serial killer case. Still, Dormer said, I mean, but see, doesn't that just seem like, really? You've got another sex worker in the area who goes missing, that leads to the discovery of 10 other bodies, and she was also a Craigslist person, and she dies at in the same place. It's just, the other ones probably didn't die there, though. They died somewhere else and were transported and put there. Who's Dee Dee? Yeah. Nobody really knows what kind of person he is, if he has a family or anything. Let's see, he lives in a basement and plays video games. Okay, there you go. Dun, dun, dun. He might be one of those sickos that just... He could be anybody at this point. Yeah. Could be anybody. I'm trying to get my control panel back open. It seems to have disappeared on me. Hold on, and okay, got it open. Authorities initially suspected that because of the number of victims, the fact that some were dismembered and some not, and nearly 15 years... Oh, shit! Woo! Oh, thanks, Jamie McLaughlin!
Thanks for covering this case. Impassionate about it.
They released
on the release belt info from law enforcement.
Yeah, they released the picture from on the belt a while ago. I mean, like months ago. And they just gave a little bit more of the belt. I mean, it's got initials on it. Could be two different sets of initials. I don't know. Here's what I think. I think the killer knew what they were doing. And even though the belt didn't belong to any of the victims, I think it'd be pretty stupid of him to have left intentionally a monogrammed belt at the scene. I mean, like, he probably had a belt from maybe somebody else he killed. You might want to look up other people killed with the initials of that belt. As a matter of fact, maybe those initials are actually the Asian male's belt. What do you think of that? Yeah. It would be really idiotic, though, don't you think? for him to have left, unless he knew that nobody could trace it, and he felt really comfortable, and it was like, ha ha ha, catch me if you can, you know. But to me, it seems like he just was using a belt from maybe one of his victims. Yeah, it's called the Cat Eye Donation. And you too, Buckle Bunny, can see the same thing. Of course, it costs $50. Anyway, hey, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, let's see. The likelihood that more than one person is a serial killer. In the days after Melissa Bartholomew was reported missing in 2009, someone used her cell phone to call her teenage sister. Yep. How sick is that? And the guy probably used it until the phone died. A Brooklyn man convicted of pimping a hooker who was last slain. So this is the one that the driver then. I think. Maybe they're not talking about... No, they're not talking about... they're talking about Megan Waterman. So, Hakeem Cruz claims he turned out bad in part because he was involved in full-on love relationship with a 37-year-old woman when he was just 17, according to court papers. Cruz, 23, is angling for a sentence of time served so he can walk out of Brooklyn federal court. He pleaded guilty to interstate trafficking of multiple prostitutes, including Megan Waterman, 22, who he pimped out at a Holiday Inn Express in Hauppauge, Long Island, before she disappeared. Cruz had been behind bars for 11 months and faces up to 2 years in prison under sentencing guidelines. It is difficult to comprehend how having a relationship with an older woman is justification for transporting young and vulnerable girls from Maine to New York for prostitution. So, I mean, nothing came out of that. I mean, he's obviously not the killer, so in some ways it's kind of like, yeah, okay. All right, that was 2013, and now we've got another 2013 beach hunt after vanish. All right, so here's a person that they think might be similar, might be related. It's not one of the, the quote 10, right? Yeah. I don't know if the killer would do anything. That doesn't even make any sense. How are they look at cat eye donations are suspicious. If the killer saw the broadcast, he'd probably give you a big... Oh, are you saying that Jamie? Is that what you're saying? Oh, man. Those are fighting words, Jamie. He just called you the killer, man. Shit. No, I don't think so. I think the killer would actually be using the money to pay for another sex worker. Part of it. Because you need 5 of those to buy one of a sex worker, right? Yeah. Beach hunt after vanish. Police are searching for a Queens woman after her car and personal belongings were found abandoned near Gilgo Beach on Long Island. Natasha Hugo, 31, left her home on 213th Street in Queens Village Saturday, wearing pink pajama bottoms, a gray hoodie and black robe, a black coat, and black boots. A caller alerted cops Sunday to her abandoned Toyota Prius and personal belongings near Gilgo Beach, where 10 set of human remains were found between December 2010 and April 2011. Hugo's disappearance is not believed to be related. And then right here, update, body found in Gilgo Beach is that of missing woman Natasha Hugo. Oh boy. As the mystery of the numerous deaths of Gilgo Beach continues, the body that washed up the beach that has been identified as that of Natasha Hugo. So now there's another body on the beach. Hugo, 31, was last seen leaving her Queens Village home on March 16th when she walked to her car wearing pajama pant, a hoodie, and a bathrobe. I wonder why she would do that. The next day, a Gilgo Beach resident found her driver's license and wallet on the beach excuse me, near Ocean Walk and called the police. Upon further investigation, the police found her 2009 Toyota Prius abandoned near the beach with footprints in the sand heading towards the water. Are those really the... I don't know. I doubt it. Let's see. Hugo's body was found floating in the water by beachgoers at about 9:30. Police said, I'd like to know how long does it look like she was in the water for those 3 months? Police said Newsday that investigators do not believe that Hugo's death is related to the remains that have previously been found on the beach, according to reports. Hugo's body was still clothed and showed no obvious signs of trauma. Her body was sent to the medical examiner for an autopsy. Hugo's body is the 11th human body or body part to have turned up at Gilgo Beach since December 2010. Yeah. Crazy, huh? And she's actually listed right here, number 16. So they must have thought it was a homicide. At least whoever made, the New York Daily News, I think, or New York Post is where this is from. All right, then we're moving to 2014. Autopsy points to serial slay. So this is actually the Shannon Gilbert. An autopsy on the hooker whose 2010's disappearance. I don't know why it is, but I'm uncomfortable saying that now. Hooker, even though I'm reading what it says, so I want to read what it says, but it's hard too, because sometimes when you read 1960 articles and they refer to black people using terms that are absolutely I would never say and are totally not acceptable, I don't read those out loud. I say, I just convert it. But in this case, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's on that same level there. So anyways, the post-mortem examination raises the possibility that Shannon Gilbert... I know it's being PC, but... I don't know. It seems like there's such a negative connotation when you call somebody a hooker. Like it's kind of demeaning sounding. It's not like... being a sex worker isn't something to be proud of. All right? Let's just be honest here. Nobody should go, oh, wow, really? That's fantastic, Susie. And I'm not talking, if you're Susie B, if you're in, or I wasn't talking to you. Oh, wow, that's wonderful. I'm glad you're, And the thing is I don't even know if it should be illegal, because it's just two people doing, and maybe make it safer. But it's definitely not something I don't think somebody should be proud of, to be a call girl or a prostitute or something like that. I don't think anybody does it goes home and talks about it at Thanksgiving or, oh yeah, you should see this one guy who came in here. It was, Yeah, I didn't like that one. The post-mortem examination raises the possibility that Shannon Gilbert, 24, was fleeing the killer on May 1st, 2010, when she began wildly banging on the doors. I'm trying to figure out, I couldn't figure out what they said, because I glanced through this, what made him seem like he was a like why it was a serial killer based on the autopsy, right? Because that's what it says. Autopsy points to serial slay, right? Then it says, an autopsy on the hooker whose 2010's disappearance exposed a still uncaptured serial killer found no drugs in her system, according to a report. Oh. Well, that's interesting. I mean, so there was absolutely no drugs in her system. That's bizarre, because she was acting really crazy. I think she was literally being serious, that there were people after her. I thought they discussed that they were releasing that. I don't know. The post-mortem examination raises the possibility that Shannon Gilbert, 24, was fleeing the killer on May 1st, 2010, when she began wildly banging on doors in Oak Beach. I mean, why didn't she just get in the car with her driver, though? That's the part that's confusing. Cops had initially theorized that a drug-crazed Gilbert, who ran away after visiting the home of a client, then died accidentally while running through the local marshes. The hunt for the missing Gilbert of Jersey City eventually turned up 10 murder victims dumped on the barrier island, with authorities theorizing the slaying were the work of a single killer. But no arrests were ever made, leaving perplexed cops still searching for a suspect. I don't know what this article is saying that points to a serial killer, though, right? Like, that's just another clickbait bullshit title there, because nothing in there makes you go, ooh, okay, wow. And even here it says they wouldn't comment on the autopsy's findings. How does anything in there point to it being a serial killer? Nothing. She didn't have drugs in her system, okay? She died. It means that somebody might have been after her, but why does it mean it was a serial killer? I don't know. I mean, it just, I don't think anything in this article here said, made me go, oh, you got it. You nailed it. Boom. Yeah, this is the one where her sister, yeah, we know all that stuff, Betty. You got to try to let people get to the end of the night. I know you like to, people like to let everybody know how much they know about a case or something, but, sometimes just kind of wait. I'll have to leave that part out now. Yes, everybody. Shannon Gilbert's younger sister killed her mom at a later time. All right. Gilbert's remains, just bones and some hair, were finally found in December 2011. All right. So now we're moving to 2015. Now, this was another article here. I wasn't sure if some of these were related somehow. It was weird. Most unsolved murders involved a victim and an unknown killer, but this Yonkers cold case involved an unknown victim and a confessed killer. The dismembered parts of a woman who has never been identified were found in a trash bin behind a pizzeria on Midland Avenue in 1992. See, doesn't that sound similar to some of these other ones? The dismembered parts of a woman who has never been identified were found in a trash bin behind a pizzeria. It would take years before investigators linked the body to Robert Shulman, a Long Island postal worker who was arrested in 1996. See, now we're 1996 here, around the time of those other killings, and convicted of being a serial killer. Shulman admitted picking up prostitutes in New York, sound familiar? Taking them to his Long Island apartment for sex and drugs, then beating them to death and cutting up their bodies. See, this guy right here sounds like if they had arrested him in 2011, he'd be at the top of the list of somebody who did all these, right? Yeah. Shulman admitted, he was convicted of killing 3 prostitutes in Suffolk County in 1994 and 1995. Shulman also admitted to killing 2 women and dumping them in Yonkers in 1991 and 1992 at the beginning of his killing spree. The first Westchester victim was identified as Lori Vasquez, 24, of Brooklyn, whose remains were found August 31st, 1991, stuffed into a plastic trash can near a house at 6 Belknap Avenue. The second woman was found June 27, 1992, in a plastic can placed in a trash bin behind the I Love New York Pizza Parlor at 1288 Midland Avenue. Even now, nearly 23 years later, investigators have no idea who he is. There could be a family out there looking for her, waiting for her to come home, said Yonkers Police Detective John Geis. I think I've heard that name before. We would love to identify her. Now this part here, I wasn't sure. What does it look like to you right here? Like hearts wrapped in... it's hard to say. But the woman's arms and part of one leg. See, doesn't this sound like something similar again? I mean, you know, the woman's arms and part of one leg were severed and never located, making it impossible for the investigators to check her fingerprints. Police think the woman was white or possibly Hispanic, in her late 20s or early 30s. She had dark hair. She had a tattoo of a green butterfly on her right rear shoulder. Shulman was found guilty of killing 3 women in Suffolk and was sentenced, sentenced to death in 1999. A year later, he went on trial in Westchester in the 2 Yonkers cases, including the unidentified woman. See, that doesn't look like a butterfly to me. This says, had a tattoo of a green butterfly on her right rear shoulder. That doesn't look like a butterfly. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, I see it. There it is. The antennas, the body, and then those are the wings, I guess. It's kind of a weird looking thing. I see that now, though. The antennas, the body, and the... Okay. A year later, he went on trial in Westchester in the 2 Yonkers cases, including the unidentified woman. On the second day of the trial in Westchester, Shulman admitted to killing the 2 women whose bodies were dumped in Yonkers. He made the admission to spare his younger brother, Barry Shulman, additional punishment for helping dump Vasquez's body. Anyways, I just thought that was interesting because it kind of popped up. Always going to do that. Every time Zozo does the thing where she copies exactly what I just said, boom. Or does the multiple repeat after everybody else types in butterfly, 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 butterfly. Because you guys all do it because you just do it. She does it to be funny, imitating you guys for all typing it in 1,000 times. Or maybe I should just let that be funny. Who cares? Yeah, that's what I thought this was like a snake and some peach hearts. See, I thought these were peach hearts right there. But now I see this, but this part here doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? See that? Yeah, poor Zozo. Alright, so here we go. Even now, nearly 23 years later... Oh yeah, well, let's see. It's not a very good butterfly, though, don't you think? I mean, it's just like, what is this part here? I think if you got rid of this green shit right there... right there, it would look more like a butterfly, right? Yeah, see? Everybody says it's a terrible butterfly. Now, Zozo's going to type in terrible butterfly. I'm having my test. Oh, God. It puts the lotion in the basket. Huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's weird, though, because that's actually her skin right there. See? There you go. Terrible butterfly. There she goes. Yeah, he went postal. I almost made that joke earlier, Trail Mix, but I thought, that's a little too simple, so I didn't do it. But I'm glad you were able to get it out there. Yeah, you hadn't made one comment all night, but you got the he went postal comment in there. Hey, let's see. Where how do we help you out here? Let me get this one. Yeah, the postal worker put all those bodies in there. He went postal. Hey, there you go, Trail Mix. Good job, buddy. All right, now we're going to go forward 6 more months, and that's MUNTS. FBI joining Long Island serial killer investigation. Finally. Sidney said addition of the FBI to the so-called Long Island serial killer investigation is part of an overall review of all current investigation. A K-9 officer and his cadaver dog were on a training mission. They're going back in time now, just explaining how they found it. What's this one? Now, this one's interesting right here. Because remember we were just talking about 1996, right? And it says right here that officers later linked some of the body parts to dismembered victims found more than 40 miles from Ocean Parkway since 1996. Okay, so those parts were found in 1996, and then right here, I don't know what, look, he was arrested in 96. So what if that was one of his killings? But then, how did he know to dump the bodies on, near Gilgo Beach? Yeah, so that's the part that's it's hard to reconcile there. Let's see where Yonkers is. Just compared to some of the other pins we've got going here. So that's Yonkers. Well, see, that's where a torso was found in 1996. I think that one might have actually been the one that was related to him. And which case is this? Oh, that's one of the victims. So that's not that far away from one of the victims right there, right? That's actually Melissa Barthélemy. She lived right there, and that's where the Yonkers. And however, she was found. She went missing after the guy was already in jail, so that can't be the right one. She went missing, I think, in like 2007 or 8, something like that, and he was already arrested in 1996. Okay, so the FBI got involved, and then strangulation may be the cause of death. Huh. And I think this is the Gilbert case. That would make that a little bit more interesting. A sex worker who disappeared near a remote stretch of beach. Hey, they've evolved to the word sex worker now. Who disappeared near a remote stretch of beach highway on New York's Long Island. That was later revealed to be a suspected serial killer's dumping ground for bodies might have been strangled according to a new autopsy. They always get a second autopsy, and it's amazing how the second autopsy always fits what the family who's paying them wants it to say, Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden there's this new information that comes out. So that's one thing. It's hard sometimes to trust, even though it could be accurate, it's hard to trust the second autopsies because they are paid by the family to do it. And of course you want to make your client happy, right? You're not going to go, oh, well, hey, we found exactly the same thing that the original did. Let's see. All right. Shannon Gilbert vanished in May of 2010 after fleeing the home of a client in Oak Beach. The search for the missing woman led to the surprise discovery of 11 sets of human remains, including Gilbert's. No suspects have ever been arrested or identified in any of the killings, but investigators believe a possible serial killer, perhaps more than one, is responsible. Although detectives have long maintained that Gilbert's death is unrelated to the killings of 10 others along Ocean Parkway in suburban New York, an attorney for the Gilbert family said Friday that an independent autopsy suggests the 24-year-old Jersey City, New Jersey woman may have been strangled. Well, let's see. They probably saw that the hyoid bone was fractured or something, right? An autopsy by the Suffolk County Medical Examiner following the discovery of Gilbert's badly decomposed skeletal remains in a marsh in December ruled that the cause of death undetermined, and that was 2011. Ray subsequently asked noted forensic pathologist, I knew it, I was going to say, I bet it was Michael Baden. Oh, God. Michael Baden's always the hired gun to come in, and it's always the more nefarious angle. Every single time that guy comes in. I mean, he's great. He does it for all of them. You guys know this, right? He did it for the Kendrick Johnson. He's in there for heck, the guy that hung himself, or the guy that ran all the sex rings and shit. I can't remember his name. Recently found hung in a prison. He checks that one out. Yeah, literally, Baden is called up by every single person. Yeah, Epstein. Here we go. Ding, 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 ding. There we go, everybody.
I'm fired out of it, 10 down, 15,
Epstein,
on the
Epstein,
man,
Epstein,
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 I'm
Epstein,
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 20, I'm
Epstein,
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 20, I'm fired out of 30, I'm 30, I'm 30, I'm 25, I'm 30, 30, sir, 25, I'm 30, 30,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, there we go. See? There's Zozo right at the end. Always with the one last. Oh, it's no big deal, Tracy. I'm just goofing around. Everybody has their... Look at, everybody could have typed Epstein in at the exact same second, right? But, the chat isn't going to put them all in at the same time. It actually puts them all linear, right? Well, it's not funny, though, when you do it, Chrissy, okay? Because you don't want to, start taking what somebody else does as a joke. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm saying if you started doing it, it wouldn't be as funny anymore. Yeah. All right. Come on, Chrissy. Come up with your own, your own thing. You can do it. I know it. That's what I do. I have this little thing I can change the light. Uh-oh. Oops. There we go. Awesome. Okay. I like the orange light, but it's too dark right now. I gotta fix this. Hold on. There we go. You got to come up with your own material. So I can do that every time. All right. So let's see what else it says in here. Oh, yeah. Let's see what Baden came up with. He hired Michael Baden to conduct an independent review. Baden found that while there is insufficient information to determine a definite cause of death, The autopsy findings are consistent with homicidal strangulation. Boden's letter to Ray also said there is no evidence that she died of natural disease, of a drug overdose, or of drowning. So, that's interesting. Ray said at a press conference with Gilbert's mother and sister that he has requested the Suffolk County Homicide Squad to reactivate the investigation into the woman's death. Police Commissioner Timothy Siney, or however you say it, said in a statement Friday that detectives are waiting to review Boden's findings. Siney announced in December that the department had brought in FBI investigators to assist local detectives with the probe. A canine officer and his cadaver dog were on training missions. Okay, back to that again. All right, and then we move 10 months later, 2016. Thanks, Lee D. Uh-oh. I guess that means she just sent me to prison. and the show stops from here. Darn it, we were getting so close.
Gray, you were so mean.
Yeah, that's why he's in jail. Yeah, that's why he's in jail, okay?
Oh, he's just so mean all the time.
Hey, how's he talking without moving his lips?
I need to work on my ventriloquism. How's he talking without... Yeah. How's he talking without How's he talking without moving his lips? Oh, shit. Yep.
Gray is so mean.
That sounded more like a laugh.
Well, it was a laugh.
But that's similar to how you cry sometimes.
Yeah, pretty similar.
I'll just take a nap then, I guess. I mean, look, we're already 2 in the hole here. Okay, that gets me out. Thanks, Brianna Propst. Or is it Propst? Propst. Did I say it right the first time? Or? Commissary, but the shunning remains in place. That's not very nice. The shunning remains in place. Oh. Gray, you're being shunned and avoided. That's fine. Reshun. Gray, you're being shunned and avoided. All right. A new DNA analysis has given more clues to detectives investigating a suspected string of serial killings on Long Island. The analysis posted on a federal database this week shows that a torso found stuffed inside a rubber bin at a state park, that sounds just like that other guy, in 1997, belongs to the same female victim whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her young child. Wait, let's see. Hold on. Belonged to the same female victim whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains. I don't think so. No, see, I don't think so at all. I think they've got this wrong here. I think they thought that those were the remains found along with the body. Remember, Jane Doe number 6? I think they kind of assumed that. I think. Let's see. Belonged to the same female victim whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her young child, many miles away near... Okay, no, that is true, because part of her... Let's see. God, no. I don't think so. Yeah, see, the thing is I think what we have here is Jane Doe, number 6, and on my map, it's similar. They just they're right in this area. Yeah, right here. Her name is Valerie Mack. She was Jane Doe number 6. She was found next to this toddler, but it turns out that she isn't related to the toddler. Valerie Mack isn't. So I think they're referring to her body, because part of her body was found elsewhere. It just turns out that this child isn't related to Valerie Mack. She was identified as matching another person, another woman. The analysis posted on a federal database this week shows that a torso found stuffed inside a rubber bin at a state park in 1997 belongs to the same female victim. So I have the state park. The toddler is... I think they were just totally... This killer was trying to really mess with people's brains here. Because... God. It's almost hard to kind of explain, you know, when you look at this. Because this lady here apparently is not the mother of the child. Let's see. Let's try this again. So this is her. While her head and hands were found on the beach, this is Jessica Taylor. Her torso was discovered miles away in Manorville with Jane Doe number 6. Okay. And then... Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's see. 7. Originally thought to be the daughter of Jane Doe number 6, but it wasn't. The toddler was related to a body. Okay, I think that's what they're saying here. Is that this body they found in 1997 is connected to the infant that was found right here. Although they word it differently. They say they found a torso was found stuffed in a bin. And then whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her young child many miles away near a Long Island Beach highway in 2011. You see what I'm saying? Oh, you guys can't see? Oh, sorry. Well, at least you can hear what I'm saying. It's all kind of... It all makes sense. Yeah, so right here you've got Jessica Taylor, 20. She was found near Jane Doe's other part of her body. God, I don't know if somebody's like really messing up here, or is there something totally wacky going on? Because what I'm trying to say, let me try to explain this. I know I'm mumbling around because it's not making sense to me. Well, thanks, Chrissy.
Screen.
Hey, I like the short, concise message. Hey, thanks, Artista Soundbox. Hey, look at what it says right here. So let's just look at this again and then compare it to the article, all right? Watch. Jessica Taylor and Jane Doe number 6, both of their torsos, okay? Both of their torsos were found up in, where is that now? Right over here in Manorville. Right there. So both of their torsos were found right here. Then you go back to this area, and Jessica Taylor's head and hands were found on the beach over here. Jane Doe number 6, who is also Valerie Mack, her head, see it says her torso was found miles away in Manorville. Her head, hands, and right foot were found right here. So Jessica Taylor's head and hands were found here. And then Valerie Mack's head, hands, and one of her feet were found right there next to this toddler right here. Okay? So you guys following along here? This lady right here, Valerie Mack, is not related to the child found right there. Right? Okay, so then when you bring open this article here, it says, the analysis posted on a federal database this week shows that a torso found stuffed inside a rubber bin at a state park in 1997. See, this is a totally different person here. Belongs to the same female victim whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her child. Well, what skeletal remains? Because I originally thought that there was a full set of skeletal remains found with a child. But there isn't one. There's a toddler here. And then Jane Doe is Valerie Mack, right? I don't know. I'm wondering if there's an error somewhere in one of these. Female victim whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her child many miles away near a Long Island Beach highway. The link between the body in the park and the so-called Gilgo Beach serial killer case is the first development in the vexing murder mystery in years. As they have been for years, police on Wednesday remained mum about the investigation. It was 6 years ago this week that a canine officer and his cadaver dog on a training mission searching for a missing New Jersey prostitute happened upon what would become the first of 11 sets of human remains. That include Gilbert. On Tuesday, the U.S. Justice Department's missing and identified person system records were updated to show DNA links a woman's torso found in Long Island Hempstead Lake State Park. Let's see where that is. Hempstead Lake State Park. Oh, see, I already had a pin there. Yeah, so there it is. That was number 11. Okay, so in this park right there, which isn't really that far away. Look at that. I mean, I bet you that's within 15 miles. If that, like 8 probably. No, I was right the first time. 15 miles. All right, so a remains found right there at that park. You know, a torso. In 1997, to the same female remains found along Ocean Parkway in April 2011. Jeez, now it's so confusing. The DNA also linked the woman's remains to a toddler found several miles down the parkway. So I remember this story coming out. And I always thought it was amazing that even having the jewelry that the child and the mother had, not one person in the world has come forward to say, oh, that's weird. That's my daughter so-and-so, and that's her grandkid. How does anybody out there not know to, to identify the mom and the child? Seems obvious, doesn't it? God, it's crazy. Thanks, Cindy Lynn. The DNA also linked the woman's remains to a toddler found several miles down the park. Let me just see if there's another map out there. Let's see. Gilgo. Let's see. Long Island serial killer map. Because something's off here a little bit. Let's see what this one has.
We could learn more today about the Gilgo Beach murders in Suffolk County that have remained a mystery for nearly 10 years. Police say they will share a previously undisclosed piece of evidence.
Mike, good morning. You know, the families that are connected to these victims, they have been waiting for nearly a decade for arrest. And while today's news conference isn't about an arrest, it is about more information that could hopefully eventually lead to...
That's the belt. Unknown female remains, Manorville. Unknown. See, there's only 2 sets of remains. Jane Doe number 6 and the baby. But they're saying that they've linked those 2. But that other image doesn't say that. Originally thought to be the daughter of Jane. Okay. Oh, shit. I hate crap like that. That isn't all tied up together. Let me read this damn article here. Yeah, okay, there's the New York Post article with the where the hell did it go? Oh, there it is. Right at the beginning. And this was, let me see what the date of this article is. Well, this is 2015, and that last one, hold on, let me just make sure. Oh, boom. Okay, so, yeah, that's hilarious. Oh, it's not hilarious. That is the mother, then. I think. Because, see, this article in MAP was January 3rd, 2015, and I think they were just saying in here, originally thought to be the daughter of Jane Doe number 6. She was later linked, no, but it says DNA in there. She was later linked by DNA to unidentified, found 7 miles away. But they're saying, though, see, here's what I think. All right, there was a torso found in a garbage can. The number 6 up here is just the head and hands, so it seems like you put those together and you've got the full body. And then the genetics, though, link the torso that was found to the baby, and then that was the rest of her body found there on the beach. Okay, so you're saying Jane Doe number 3? I've heard of the Peaches one. That's why I was thinking that butterfly almost looked like the Peaches hearts, you know. Where on the beach is Peaches found? Okay, Peaches is 11. Okay, yeah, that's what I was saying. All right. That's what I was saying a minute ago. See, I think that, isn't it possible then, man, this is really whacked out. Okay, so are you pretty familiar with this one, Owl of Athena? Because a minute ago I just showed you where number 11 was. That's Peaches right here. She was found just the torso in a park, in a garbage can, okay? So that body in that garbage can, okay, that body, just try to pay attention for 1 second here. The body found in the garbage can right there was linked to the child found right here, the baby. However, that one article said that it was the body in the garbage can was also linked to the remains found here next to the child. Okay? And the weird part is Jane Doe number 6, who's Valerie Mack. So Jane Doe number 6 and Peaches might be the same person, is what I'm trying to say here. Is that not right? Because Valerie Mack, no, it can't be, because Valerie Mack's body was found over here. So there's obviously there's an error made somewhere here. Valerie Mack's body was found right here, next to Jessica Taylor. So you had Valerie Mack, Jessica Taylor, and now you've got and now in this area, you've got Valerie Mack's other half of her body, her head and hands, and then right here there's a child that's connected. I think they're just making a mistake that I don't think any of Peaches was found on Gilgo Beach. Do you agree with that? Yeah, no, I know that's what you heard. But if you were here about 2 minutes ago, we just read an article that is completely contradictory to that. I'm not saying, the articles are always right, but let me open that one up again. Is it this one? Yeah, listen to this. Owl of Athena, listen. The analysis posted on a federal database this week shows that a torso found stuffed inside a rubber bin at a state park, boom, Peaches, right? No, there's just one body in the infant. That's all that's been listed out there. And yeah, and I guess if Gene, Fish wants to say it was a toddler, like 2 or 3 years old. Okay, so listen to this. There was a torso found stuffed inside a rubber bin at a state park in 1997, and that belongs to the same female victim whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her young child many miles away near Long Island. See, that doesn't make any sense. You get what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense because unless there was, because I remember originally, see, everything just keeps popping back into my head. Originally, this was the other set of remains found near the toddler. They always thought that this person was the mother. They didn't put another pin there and say there was another set of remains found with the toddler, and all it was that there was a toddler found. That's it. And this Valerie Mack's body right here, which they always thought was the toddler's mother, turns out it wasn't the mother. So what remains on Gilgo Beach are related to the mother of the toddler? Does anybody have an answer to that? Because I don't. And they're saying that in the article. Yeah, well, I'm not confused about any of the rest of them. I'm just talking about right here. What does DNA have to do with what I'm talking about, Gene? Nah, you think that's what they're saying? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think that's just sort of wanting to read it a certain way, because it just doesn't say that at all. It says, at a state park in 1977, belonged to the same female victim, listen, whose skeletal remains were discovered along with the remains of her young child many miles away near a Long Island Beach highway. That's exactly what they're saying. So they're literally saying right here, Owl of Athena, that they matched the DNA in 1997 in the bin at the park to another body along the highway, and then that body also matched the body of the toddler. No, but they didn't, because even in this article it says that from DNA they were able to. Never mind. Jesus Christ. It gets frustrating. You gotta really follow along the whole time, or it gets really frustrating. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I remember the. Yep. See, I remember the matching bracelets and everything. So where the toddler was found, was there just another set of remains that aren't being talked about? Nah, you're wrong, Christola. You don't know what the point is. You rarely come in and understand what we're talking about. It's kind of frightening, actually. I don't know how to send a link, but I found an article, unidentified murder victim dubbed Peaches linked to Gilgo Beach killing. Yeah, but I already know that, Owl of Athena. Are you not paying? I mean, here's why I'm getting frustrated here. I get the whole thing that Peaches is determined to be the mother. Well, if you've been here, Christola, your comment doesn't fit anything that I just said. Okay, I'm sorry. There's no. The point is we're the mother and child, and they don't know. No, you're not correct. Okay, you're not. They have been able to determine that this toddler right here is related to the torso found right here. Okay, that's the mother. However, the article says that there's also another body found in this area. That was the other part of the body found in the barrel. That's also the mother of the toddler here. And then Valerie Mack's body is right here, and her other half of her body was found right up here. Do you get what I'm saying now? Does that make sense? Yeah, I mean, Wikipedia is pretty good, but I'm not really sure. That's where the confusion's lying, because they're not actually, you know, none of the maps have 3 bodies right here on the beach. None of them. None of the maps have Valerie Mack, the mother, and the child. You get what I'm saying? I know we spent a lot of time on this because it got really crazy. I don't know, artists. It didn't have anything to do with what we were just saying, though. All right. Yeah, that's so frustrating. Man. All right. This is like the last one I have in here, 2017. It's a potato sack, Zozo. You know, those little, they're kind of made out of, you know, like a fiber sort of thing. You can also just type it in Google and you'll see it. Let's see. For years, the thicket along Beach Highway on Long Island held a horrible secret. Hidden from passing drivers were the skeletal remains of 10 people, mostly young women, who had worked as prostitutes. Who killed them and why is a mystery that has vexed a slew of seasoned homicide detectives. You know what I'm going to do? I do actually have the... I put the link to Wikipedia in the description. Let's see if we can get the answer to that one question. All right, because they always update these things. All right, let's see. Jane. Oh, God, my stomach just went nuts. Hey, Stephanie, put quotes around that next time. I know you didn't type that way. Don't just keep putting it in there. I'm going to figure it out a different way. I don't even know what you're saying because it doesn't match anything that we've talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and right here it says, on September 20th, police released composite sketches of 2 of the unidentified victims whose remains were found in March and April. An Asian male and Jane Doe number 6, as well as photos of jewelry found on the remains of a female toddler and her mother found on April 4th and 11th, respectively. So where was... Okay, let me check something out. So the toddler... This one, I have the 4th. Where's the 11th? Shit. I don't know. As well as photos of jewelry and found the remains of a female toddler and her mother found on April 4th and 11th, respectively. Okay, let's see. This is New York Post. Baffled Long Island cops, desperate for fresh leads in Gilgo Beach serial killer case, release haunting composite sketch of 2 still unidentified victims yesterday and images of jewelry worn by 2 other corpses. Investigators said they hope the new clues will lead to a break in the 9-month-old case. The first sketch was that of a 5'6" Asian man between 17 and 23. The man is believed to have been slain 5 to 10 years ago. The second sketch is of a woman known as Jane Doe number 6. See, Jane Doe number 6 had the jewelry of the baby? This just doesn't make any sense. See, that's what I'm saying. Was a serial killer trying to mess people up here by putting different items and body parts around in different areas, and then they go, oh, well, shit, that must be the head and the body of this one, and then... Do you get what I'm saying? Did they test the DNA of the head and the torso? See, the second sketch is of a young woman as Jane Doe number 6. She stood about 5'2" and was 18 to 35. Her torso was found in Manorville in 2000. Yeah. So, okay, well that's a different... So this is the other one that they were talking about. And forensic tests linked those remains to her head, hands, and right foot, which were found along Ocean Parkway. Okay, let's check something out. Oh yeah, Manorville, right. That's right up here. We've already done this one. See, this is Manorville right there, and her torso was found right there. Yep, so we've already got that one. That was found in 2000, and so was Jessica Taylor. She was found, body parts were found back around that same time. Linked those remains to her head, hands, and right foot, which were found along Ocean Parkway. It's likely she also worked as a hooker. Based on what we know of some of the other victims, we consider that this woman may have been working as a prostitute. And in another harrowing revelation, investigators displayed photos of cheap gold jewelry worn by another still... Okay, there we go. We have another still unidentified woman and her baby girl, whose bodies were also found on the beach. Okay, so there we go. Finally, we have a still unidentified woman, and part of her remains were found there, and the other parts of her remains were found in that park. Okay, we just don't have it on the map, and I've never seen it on the map. Let's try to find it. Let's try to do this again. I know, you're probably like, oh my god, we're all over the place. But you know what? Sometimes you get stuck and you got to go figure some shit out, right? And I was on the last story anyways, so that's all that matters. Let's see. We were Long Island serial killer map. Let's see if some of these other ones, like... Yeah. Let's see. Where were all the long... Okay, the interactive map. All right, here we go. This might have it right here. Jane Doe, Asian male. So where were those found? Let's see. Asian male, Waterman, and at the time Jessica Taylor was maybe considered. Nah, I don't think so when this is made. So we've got unidentified remains linked to torso in Manorville. That's actually Valerie Mack. Unidentified child. See, now they just have unidentified child. Oh, man. Oh, shit. They're screwing me up again. You see this map here? This one has the child and Valerie together, but no mention of another Jane Doe. Brutal. Can you guys just help me out a little bit here? Yeah, well, I think Wikipedia probably has it more accurately. Hey, thanks, Timothy Cecil. Well, yeah, because he had female clothes on, so they think he was a sex worker. Yeah. And no, it doesn't mean... Okay.
Well, how dare you, Gray? Doesn't mean he was a sex worker because...
Well, listen. Just given the circumstances, it seems highly likely, doesn't it?
Love your content, man. Keep up the good work. A-OK.
No, well, we don't know what he was, Gene Fish. He might have just been a transvestite dressing up to, pull tricks. We have no clue what he was. Are they? They're saying that? Maybe Hispanic? Okay. Well, they need to be testing. I don't know what the delay is with these guys. All of these people should be identified at this point. Don't you think? Yeah, so it's right here. This is the part that makes the most sense right here. Investigators displayed photos of a cheap gold jewelry worn by another still identified woman. And when was this article? Oh shit, this is 2011. Crap. Okay, let me try this again. Baffled Long Island cops desperate for fresh Gilgo Beach Killer. Investigators said they hoped to new clues. Probers initially speculated that the discovery of the man's remains were unrelated. 5 of the 10 corpses have been identified. The second sketch is of a woman known as Jane Doe number 6. She stood about 5'2" and was between 18 and 35 years old. Her torso was found in Manorville. Okay, so that's Valerie. A forensic test linked those remains to her head and hands and right foot, which were found along Ocean Parkway, and it was very close to the toddler. It's likely she also worked as a hooker. Based on what we know of some of the other victims, we consider that the woman may have been working as a prostitute. And in another harrowing revelation, investigators displayed photos of cheap gold jewelry worn by another still unidentified woman and her baby girl. So that's a different one than Jane Doe number 6, whose bodies were also found on the beach. So maybe they were found right next to each other. The baby, who was between 16 and 32 months old, was wearing hoop earrings and rope necklace. Yeah, so look at this. How come that these are the jewelry items? Let me see if they're... Okay, there's the tattoo that they were taught. That's Peaches right there. And Peaches turns out to be the mother, I guess, of the infant. Yeah. So that's interesting. I'm not sure why these aren't opening up to the image so you can just see them. Oh, see, look at that. There's the bin that she was found in. Yikes. Okay, there you go. See, look at that. The mother's jewelry matched the toddler's jewelry. I'm not sure why they put the Asian male's face above this. But don't you think somebody out there would have recognized this jewelry and then say, oh my God, that's my niece and my grandchild or something? That's something different. Peaches is just Peaches. Peaches is the body, Jane Doe number 11, I believe, that was found right here at Hempstead Lake State Park. Her torso was found there, and apparently, though, the rest of her body was found somewhere right here next to her toddler, her child. And then this body right here is Valerie Mack. Yeah, I just said that, Stephanie. Did you miss it? Yeah, they're different people. Yeah. All right. Well, he probably just... What do you mean wanted the baby to be next? Maybe LISK wanted the baby to be next to the mom? Well, it's the own baby's mom. He probably just dumped him out at the same time. I don't know if it's a wanted, some conscious, I really want to keep the baby with the mom. It's more like, oh, he just killed the mom and the baby, so he just dumped them out of the car together. Or parts of them, anyways. See, the baby's small. What it sounds like is this guy would chop body parts off, put them into bags, and carry the smaller parts to the, to some other location and leave the torso somewhere else. And so a baby's tiny, or, the toddler, it's only 1.5 to 16 or 32 months of age. So that was probably like a limb or something to him. So he just took them together and dumped them in the same place. I don't know if he had a soul, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna... Yeah, that's a crazy story. But let me go to that website now. It's called I think like Gilgo News or some shit like that. Yeah, it's a horrible website. This is one of the worst websites ever made. I actually believe the theory that somebody has that whenever they post new information, they just check all of the IP addresses that go check it out. And try to see if the killer's checking in on the new revelations. Because it's absolutely god-awful here. It's, like, some, second grade... Well, and actually a second grader could probably make a better website. See, they have Shannon Gilbert, Costello, the Asian male, Maureen Barnes, and then this is Valerie... She was just identified here. Valerie Mack. I'm not sure why they're blurring out the picture. Why do you make it so you have to click on it? There's no point in that. Seems like somebody that did meth. Especially in this picture right here. So you got that one. Okay, now these are the new I mean, not this. This is the older one, but see the initials on a belt there. And then I think these are the newer ones they put out, and they make it just ludicrous where it just you can't go back and. See this right here. How does this help right here? Honest to God, like this thing right here. Oh yeah. I remember somebody that had that belt that looked like the back of that belt 20 years ago. I mean, come on. See, to me, they're just putting something out there. Like, you know what? Let's do an update. Yeah, look it. Hey, Chuck, take a picture of the belt again. Make it a little wider. Put it out there. It'll seem like it's new to some people. And then maybe we'll get a good hit from somebody. Well, I don't know. Why? I mean, here's the thing is, we don't know if this is HM or WH the other direction, right? However, I really doubt the killer would be that stupid to go, you know what, hold on. Takes his own belt off, strangles somebody with it or whatever, and then leaves it at the scene. I just don't see that happening. I think it very well could be maybe the belt of one of his other victims that he used to kill somebody else with. Maybe giving out a hint somewhere. They might want to look through their databases for anybody with the initials WH or HM, see if there's anybody else that is missing or, you know, something like that in the area. I just think the odds of somebody that seems really, what do you call it? Really, I'm trying to have a hard time coming up with the word. Meticulous, basically, on how he does what he's doing, would leave a belt with his initials on it. Yeah, calculated, meticulous, same, you know, similar thoughts. Jesus. Boom! She's just like Zoe is just like Chloe and Mary Lou. Okay. Yep. Oh boy. Nah. His master, huh? Come on, Jesus. Come on, Buckle Bunny. How about Woman Hater, the WH? We can do that one. Oh my God! That's it, everybody! We nailed it! Oh wait, so he went out and made a... He went out and... That wasn't that cool there, artist soundbox. That's why it got removed. I was about ready to say that. Yeah, woman hater. Wow. So he went out and monogrammed a belt to mean that. Unbelievable. Okay, Herman Munster. That's pretty funny. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. Lots of maybes. What about this? What about that? And another thing is I'd like to know how the belt was found. I mean, if it was just a belt found in the vicinity, we don't have a clue then. If it might not even be related. Now, if it was literally around somebody's neck, then sure, you know. Articles recovered at the scene. And another thing, too, is none of the families can recognize the belt. So they go, no, I don't know. You know, they must have found it at the scene of one of the victims who has been identified. And then the family says, nope, don't recognize it, don't recognize it. However, do you really know every single thing that your daughter or whatever, you know, might have, what they might have got from somebody else out there somewhere? So this is one of those really tough shots in the dark, you know, with a ton of different possibilities that it could be, you know, it could be anything. Yeah. Human monster. That's right. He was sitting in the basement and his mom said, hey, order a belt. And he says, no, Mom, I'm playing Call of Duty. Well, that game wasn't invented in 1997, but that's okay. Shit. Ew, God. All right. Well, let's see. That's the first, you know, jump into the case there. You know, we've done it before, or I have anyways. So what we'll do, you know, maybe we'll look into some sort of side stuff that is interesting at some point. Oh boy, here goes Chloe, going nuts again. Oh boy. Where is this one? Chloe, Chloe, Chloe. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. She's just waiting to tackle Blue. Come on, Blue. Oh. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. See, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly like Zozo, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt they put the initial on there like that. Okay. All right, everybody. That is going to be it for the show tonight. All right. Sorry it got so frustrating in there, but it was getting crazy. I wanted people to understand what the confusion was, and that's because on none of these maps do they have the mother's body parts located on Gilgo Beach of the toddler displayed somewhere. Okay, Jane Doe number 6 is right down the 100, only 60 yards away, and that's very close. And it sounds like they always keep referring to that one. It sounds like there was 3 bodies right in that same little area right there. Well, cool. Was that interesting for you guys? I mean, it seemed like we covered a lot of different stuff, and you know, you sort of get now what was going on. Shannon Gilbert went missing. Then they did they searched for her, and then in a training deal with the dogs, they discovered 4 bodies. Then eventually that led to finding 11 bodies, including Shannon Gilbert's. They found about a year and a half later there, and then they've been able to link different torsos found in 3 different torsos. That's interesting too, everybody. That there was also 3 torsos linked to heads and bodies found on that beach. And those are, I can see how they could think that those were different killers than the other 4. I mean, at least the 4 Craigslist ones, because it's quite a bit different. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was getting confusing to me too. That's why I was getting frustrated. I was confused, but I wasn't confused at what I was reading. I was confused at the contradiction in the information being given. I know, it's crazy, right, Eric? I mean, just shitload of bodies out there. Yeah, a lot of stuff. But definitely, you know that there's at least one serial killer, right? There's no doubt in my mind at all. I mean, if you don't think there's a serial killer involved, then you're crazy. Because the odds of, oh wow, 11 different people killed 11 different people and then just dumped their bodies randomly. It just doesn't happen like that. So.
All right. So thank you to Zozo. Zozo again. Zozo again. Michelle Nicholas. Lee D. Brooklyn Knight. Zozo. Chrissy. VP. Zozo again. Lee D. Mary Clark. Lee D. Kevin Brown. Chrissy. Barbara Smith. Gene Fish. Jamie McLaughlin. With a cat eye donation. Lee D. Brianna Probst. Chrissy again. Artista Sandbox. Cindy Leon. Timothy Cecil. All right.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, I don't know. Hey, everybody. You guys, I appreciate you showing up tonight. That was kind of a long bit of information there, but hopefully you guys got a decent feel of just kind of the layout and where different bodies were found. There's even more bodies, to be honest with you. There's 17 people they think might be part of the same thing, right? So anyways, I really appreciate it, and I guess we will see you guys tomorrow, right? So that being said, hey, the vaccines are starting to be pumped out. Good news. Good stuff. Hey, thanks, Brianna. Appreciate it. So, all right. Thank you very much. And as I always say, everybody, until next time. Wait, hold on. Make sure that you wear your mask, maintain your social distancing, and wash your hands. Yes, don't be scared to take the vax. Take the vax. Hey, Cairo, where the hell you been, man? I feel like you sort of abandoned me. Yeah, you're always like the sidekick guy, and then you're on here every night making your little jokes and. Here it is.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Yeah. Well, thank God for... Hey, listen, everybody. Feel free not to take the vaccine because the rest of us responsible people will make it safe for you not to take one. So the 70% of the population who take it will make it safe for the rest of you who don't take it and then say, see, I didn't get it. Yeah, that's because the rest of us were responsible. You weren't. All right? All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And as I always say, no, it's not risky at all, man. It's not risky at all. Okay, they've tested it on tons and tons of people, and it really isn't risky. It's way less risky than the virus. Let's put it that way. Way less. Oh yeah. Check out the Nefarious channel, by the way. It's good stuff, right? Well, that's the truth, Artista. I'm not making that shit up. That's actually reality. 70% of the population have to take it to create the herd immunity effect. And, the other 30% say, oh, see, I never took it. Well, that's right, because everybody else made it safe for you. Just like the flu and all these other ones. If nobody took the flu vaccine, you'd have a lot more deaths every year and a lot more people getting the flu, like literally 10 times. Okay, but other people take it. No, it's not made of baby parts. That's a lie. I just saw that on the news the other day. They go, can you believe that? People say that. It's total bullshit. That's not true. So, okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And don't listen to what Artista Soundbox is saying. He's totally bogus right there. It sounds like he's been watching a lot of conspiracy television. All right. Have a good one. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya, wanna stretch ya if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Full deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right. Yeah, the arms are part of the torso. They just found the hands and the feet. You don't have to assume they cut the arms and then they found the torso, and then which includes the arm part. Then they found the hands and the feet in other places. Yeah. And then in another case, they found 2 legs somewhere, which is weird. Anyways, see, I had to interrupt the normal flow here. So here we go. Let me play the rap again. Jesus. No, there's the Paranormal set. Heck, I don't even know how to get the rap playing again. Anyways, thanks everybody. I'm going to play your favorite freak swearing and the music at the end.
You're a pain in my ass. I don't smoke grass. But maybe I should. Hey, thanks, Brianna. Oh, cool. You subscribed to Nefarious. I'll let Gray know later. Yeah. Sometimes the torso can, still have some of the arms on it.
Oh, wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, the thing is, I'm just assuming that, all right? Because in the articles it says, her head and hands were found on the beach and her torso was discovered miles away. It doesn't talk about, and then her arms were over here. Okay, so it means that the bigger chunks of her body were put into a trash bin, and then the smaller parts that might help identify the person were put somewhere completely different and small, so that it wouldn't create a lot of probably even decomposition, odor, that kind of thing. Nobody complained all those years driving by.
Oh, bees. Oh, that's not me. That's not. I want to. Hello? Hello?
Yes, John Boy, yes, John Boy. Let's get it, let's get this, that with anybody who's talking this shit, that shit. I'm in the mood, I'll sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. It's not a treat, troll is beat, just one of the ways that I defeat it. Stay in my groove, when there's a troll on the move, just takes a second to remove, cause every time I conclude, troll is gonna lose. Nice try, lizard eye, I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you so fly, when you're just a whiny cry, cry, battle me, you're gonna fly, gonna send you out to mummify. Time to say bye. Yep. I try to live it up, but I'm in the mood. I sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. It's not like a treat and troll is beat, just one of the ways that I defeat it. Staying in my groove, when there's a troll on the move, just takes a second to remove, cause every time I conclude, the troll is gonna lose. Nice try, lizard eye, I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you're so fly, when you're just a whiny cry, cry, battle me, you're gonna fly. Boom, boom, gonna send you out to mummify. Hey, alright, hey, cool.
Yeah, not too bad there, Mary Lou, not too bad. Let me try. When I'm in the mood, I suck.
No, just try to do with the beat. John Boy, you can do it. Come on, do it. Come on, you can do it.
When I'm in the mood, I sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out, and I repeat it. It's not a treat, troll is beat, just one of the ways I defeat it.
Stayed in my groove, when there's a troll on the move, just take a second to remove, cause every time I conclude,
the troll is gonna lose.
Hey, alright, man.
Nice try, lizard eye. I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you're so fly when you're just a whiny cry?
Battle me, you're gonna fry. Gonna send you out to mummify.
Hey, okay, man, we're like a team now, right? We're like a team.
Not really.
Gosh, you're so mean, Marilyn. You're so mean.
Well, you're mean to me all the time, right?
Yeah, well, I guess sometimes, sure.
Okay, well, stop being mean to me then.
I can't do it.
Okay, gosh, you're so mean, John Boy.
And I tell you what, every time I look in the chat, I would bet $1 million that Susanna's talking about dogs and some crazy ass technical function, and nobody's saying anything back. But man, look at that stuff. Dogs will lock on the serotonin, in which they listen to this shit right here. Listen to this. Dogs will lock onto the serotonin, which they can detect. Hey, that's what we were talking about the other night, right, Susanna? That was good stuff. Remember that? They're able to track the people that are... Yeah. I even remember it. Well, yes, if you take the German Shepherd's nose, for example, and combine the ratios accumulated within the statistical anomalies, you'll find that the correlation between their scent detection and that of the typical rattlesnake is quite revealing, in that they can sense not only the heat examination from the body itself, but also define the strategical analysis combined therein. Yes, the heat signatures that are developed from a dog's nose are almost nil, because the nose is actually for smelling things, not sensing heat. Now, you'd be surprised at what a nose can detect, and perhaps heat is one of those things. We just don't know at this point, but maybe Susanna can enlighten us on what the dog's nose can actually detect other than odors itself. For example, can it detect a ghost? A freak sticker? What do you mean by a sticker? You can join the channel, you mean? You hit the join button below the video and you get the emojis. Like these ones right here. Chewbacca, Oh, thanks, Brianna. Cool. The co-authors. All right, man. So I'm moving up in the world, Susanna. Is that what you're saying? Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. All right, everybody. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Thank you guys very much. Hope you guys have a good evening. Hope you enjoyed hanging out for a little bit. I will see you guys tomorrow. Be safe out there. Oh, thanks, Brianna. Awesome.